Grim bloke. Yeah. And then, yeah, bruv. Yeah. Yeah, bruv. In it. Grim bloke. Let me tell you about this one time. I went through a porthole and snuck into the North Pole and got picked up in a Hyperborean DeLorean. They said they knew I was a Webster Merriam historian, mastered a numerical Gregorian, the hysterical mystic, no more than a Pythagorean, conspiracy theory Ethereum in the etheric fear realm. I thought they were gonna take me to the crematorium in their Hyperborean DeLorean.
Welcome back.
On my Sumerian, Shakespearean, knew I was a numerical vegetarian Aquarian, that I knew about the Tartarians, barbarians, Mars radium, aliens, salt of the earth, solution, Selenian. Spent the night in a Hyperborean chamber. I looked around and thought, bruv, who hired the painter? Hyperborean memoriam, auditorium, all cause I got picked up in the Hyperborean DeLorean. Introducing
Welcome back, ballers. Happy Tuesday.
All love.
Can we get a thumbs up in the chat?
Invisible diamond minerals, crystalline and swimming pools, interdimensional realms of scrapping Catherine, and Bahamas, Azores, Atlantis shores, mountains, temples, marble floors, seafloors, treasure and cities lost. Yeah, bruv, in it. Oh, sphinxes, pyramids and minotaurs, fruit grown in grove, luxuriant. Inhabitants intelligent, closest seen to perfection. The whole experience, heaven to them, polar aurora, horizon beyond them. Flattened sky, lake of fire, core and flora, above bright comets, tornadoes, turbulence, not prohibition, more. Not forbidden.
What's up, one is valid.
Expansive places, massive. In it. Yeah, bruv. In it. Oh. Just hanging around. Yeah.
We just hanging.
In the Hyperborean DeLorean. Grim bloke. Jack bruv. In it.
What's up, Apache? Hey, Wes.
Just hanging out around. Oh, Jack bro. 8888992.
Appreciate you guys.
Now you're forever exploring it, interdimensional. Historian, moratorium. Just hanging around till the stars in the Hyperborean DeLorean.
What's going on, GH?
Just hanging around.
Welcome back, ballers, to another episode of Eye to Eye with AJ, Rambo, and Cody. Today is Tuesday night, November 4th, 2025, the 25th episode since we've had Cody join the team. Always a true blessing to have you both in my corner every week. Like I always say, the best night of the week. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for all the thumbs up and the mic checks. We really appreciate you guys. Cody, Rambo, can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear.
I can
Awesome.
hear you,
Cody,
too.
you
Can
good?
hear me?
I can hear you, brother. Awesome. Good to go. Catching up with the chat. Sarah Smith loves the intro. It's a good one. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, let's just jump right into it. Obviously, a lot to cover today. Quick intro of myself, AJ, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's and Ball. You guys can email me for a copy of any of my books. Working on my 11th mini book about Charlie Kirk. Not sure when that'll be released, but that'll be out sooner than later. But you guys can email me at wordplaybook, 3 O's in book, at gmail.com if you guys are ever interested in a copy of any of these books for free. You guys can also purchase them on patreon.com/themoneyball. You do not need to be a subscriber. Rambo, I'll pass things off to you. For those that might not be familiar with you, please let the listeners know where they can find you and support you.
Yeah, thank you once again. Thanks for putting this together. And thank you, Cody, for being here. Yes, I can be found at patreon.com/thetruthcodes. There's one tier, $5. That's the only tier per month. And there is some free content. not as much, obviously. And you do have access for $5 a month to the Codebreaker community Discord server. There are plenty of great decodes by the community. And I'm also on Instagram.com/thetruthcodes.
Beautiful. We appreciate you, Rambo, as always. Remember, you guys, this is $5 a month for all of Rambo's content, all of his videos, all of his posts, all of his blogs, etc. And make sure to give him a follow at the Truth Codes on Instagram. Kodi,
Thank
you. You have the floor, my man.
Yeah, thanks, AJ, once again putting this on. And again, thank you also, Rambo, for being here. And to everyone in the chat, thank you guys also. Much love to everyone. If you guys want to find me, you guys can find me on YouTube at Decoding with Kodi, where many of you are watching right now. And if you would like to support the channel, buymeacoffee.com/decodingwithkodi is where that can be done. It's better than doing that on YouTube. So thank you guys, and let's have a good show today.
Yeah, it's going to be a doozy. Kodi was already sharing with Rambo and I quite a bit of stuff that he has off the cuff. I know it takes a while to get all the content into some nice forward-facing slides, but we had the election going on tonight, as well as the big plane crash that happened at the UPS Worldport Hub in Louisville, Kentucky. I thought it was interesting. They're already saying there were 4 dead, 11 injured on the 4th day of the 11th month. But obviously, Muhammad Ali International Airport, a lot of stuff to be said about that. So, Kodi, why don't you kick things off with us, man? Would you like me to share your screen or just leave it with the thumbnail at the moment? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you can. I got my screen shared. I think it's. I don't know. Can you see that? It should be there.
I can. Yeah. There we go.
All right. So again, I just wanted to start out with this because I've been tracking this stuff all day, and I didn't have time to build proper slides, or at least like my normal, nice, organized slides that I like to build. But I definitely did build some sort of slides here to kind of help put a lot of these pieces together. Everything that happened today, guys, was so connected to this 9/11 Muslim Islamic tie. It's just crazy how, and if just to start out, yesterday I did a video, and here's from yesterday's video. I talked about how the football player Bob Trumpy died, right? And the same day he played for the Bengals of Ohio, the Cincinnati Bengals. And that same day, in the very first game, the very first play of the game of the Bengals, a guy named Charlie Jones, a player, returned the kickoff to start the game, which is not very common. But then I find out that back in 1997, you had a guy named Charlie Jones who was on the announce team with a different Charlie. It was a different Charlie Jones than the one that returned the kick yesterday. But the key here is that Bob Trumpy. So here's Charlie Jones returning the kick yesterday, number 15, just like Ohio equals 47. 47 is the 15th prime. Trump's 47. Could say a lot about 47, of course, but the big thing here is 84. Trumpy wore 84. And the next day, I did this video last night with this thumbnail with the 84 plastered right on there. And the next day, you get the guy who's connected to 9/11 dying at age 84. Well, the guy that died is Dick Cheney. And when was he born? He was born in 1941. What happened in 1941? Pearl Harbor. What was Pearl Harbor, or what was 9/11 called? It was called the New Pearl Harbor. So the guy, and the reason this is important is because Dick Cheney died at 84, one day after Trumpy, who wore 84, died. And on this year, on Pearl Harbor Day, which I already revealed in my last live stream, the United States will turn 9/11/01 days old on 12/7, which will be what anniversary of Pearl Harbor? The 84th. That's why I believe we're getting this 84 now. I really think it's pointing to that day. Maybe nothing happens that day, but it's all about ritualizing that day. Remember, when Charlie Kirk was shot, the United States was on a perfect count as well. So they're obviously following this count because remember when his funeral, when Charlie Kirk had his funeral, it was 9/11, or it was, what was it? 9/10/25 days after 9/11, or after the United States was founded, just like the day he was shot. But now we're going to be coming up on December 7th, the 84th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, and now you have all these 84s popping up. And Dick Cheney, who was born the year of Pearl Harbor, died at 84. Okay, and actually today or yesterday when he died was 33 days before. And he died on 11/3. 11 times 3 is 33. We know how big the 33 is. So it just seems a lot of stuff is pointing to, remember, Trump's going to turn 330 Mercury years on December 7th. It's going to be his Mercury birthday. Charlie Kirk was shot on Trump's Mercury birthday, his 329th Mercury birthday. But this guy next to Trumpy here, the guy who returned the kickoff yesterday, is named Charlie Jones. And the reason they're using this name, Charlie Jones, and this reason that Bob Trumpy used to announce with a guy named Charlie Jones, is because this is the key. This is the big part. In Gematria, Charlie Jones is the ultimate 9/11 tribute. Look at the Gematria. Charlie Jones, 119 in just basic ordinal Gematria, and in another very, very important cipher, Latin and Jewish Gematria, Charlie Jones, 9/11. How much more perfect? Why are they using that? It's because it's this, right? And let's not forget, yesterday I revealed how this is connected to King Charles. How many days after his coronation was yesterday's Charlie Jones kickoff return? Yes, it was 9/11 days after the coronation of King Charles. So but I'm not going to talk about King Charles today. If you guys want to find out about him, that's in yesterday's video. Because remember, Bob Trumpy was announcing with Charlie Jones, the announcer, on the day Princess Diana died, the exact same day. That was their first ever game together announcing. And so that's the King Charles stuff. But now the next day you get this death of 84-year-old Dick Cheney. And that's where we get into what we're going to talk about today with all this stuff that happened. And so let's just kind of go over all the stories just to give the basic like overview, right? So the first big story today that I think broke was Dick Cheney dying at 84, right? And you guys, I don't think I need to explain how he connects to 9/11 and the Iraq War. I think most people know that. I mean, if you don't, you can just do a quick Google search and read his Wikipedia page. So he's all part of this because of his 9/11 connection. And again, he's born in the year of Pearl Harbor. Well, he dies at 84. And then we get news. Well, and this is on the same day that Mamdani he was already declared the winner. But before I even put this together, he hadn't been declared yet. But he has now been declared the winner from what I've understand. And Mamdani, I'll talk about this later, but Mamdani actually means Muhammad, follower of Muhammad. That's what the name translates to. Now, right after this, or right before Mamdani was selected, the team from his city, the New York Jets, like the Jets that hit on 9/11, traded. It was a blockbuster deal. The whole NFL was talking about this. Like, if you just go look at the NFL, this was like, you got kids crying because of they traded Sauce Gardner. This Sauce Gardner player was super popular in New York, but they traded him away on this very day for a very specific reason. And they traded him to the Colts for a very specific reason. Because, again, I mentioned yesterday, the Colts connect to this because Bob Trumpy and Charlie Jones announced their first game together was the Colts versus the Dolphins, which is exactly how this year started. The first game of the season was the Colts versus the Dolphins. Now, and that leads me to the next thing is next week, Trump is, for the first time, is going to be hosting Syria's president, al-Shahar, but his real name is Ahmed, which is essentially the same name. Oh, I forgot to mention, Sauce Gardner's real name, the football player from New York that got traded today, his real name is Ahmed, which is Muhammad. It's a form of Muhammad. And then Trump's next week, right before, or actually it's one day after the 9/11 game with the Colts, which we're going to talk about later, Trump's going to be meeting with this guy in the White House, the president of Syria. But then 7 days after that, on the day the Illuminati founder died, 11/18, Trump's going to be meeting with the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. So, and I want to really call attention to this picture here, because this is a picture from Obama's movie. Now, this connects back to the 8-4 thing, because Obama equals 84 in gematria. He was born on 8-4. We just had Dick Cheney die at 84, and Bob Trumpy die, who wore the number 84. Well, Obama made a movie about the death of America by Muslims. Look, this is the posters that were dropped in the movie when the attacks were going on in Leave the World Behind. And it has Arabic on it, and it has a snake. Well, what are we in right now? We're in the year of the snake, and now we have all this Muslim stuff starting to happen. And the anniversary of Leave the World Behind just passed. It was originally released October 25th, so just days ago would be the anniversary of that movie. And it was released on Netflix on December 8th, 2023. So that's not far off from my December 7th date that's coming up next month. So let's just bring all this together. Here's like the four main pieces, right? You got the two people that Trump's going to be meeting with next week, the next 2 weeks. Both of them, one's named Muhammad, the other one's named Ahmed, which is a form of Muhammad. And I told you Mandami means follower of Muhammad, if you translate it. And then the guy that was traded today from New York, where Mandami just became mayor, is Sauce Gardner. But they call him Sauce Gardner, which I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me with the sauce thing. There's definitely something with sauce. But I think I do also know why sauce is important in this, because when you use the name, I'll show you in a minute with the gematria. But anyway, his real name is Ahmed, right? But look how old Mandami is today. I mean, come on. 1776 weeks and 4 days old, which the 4, I think, kind of represents the 4th of July, right? 1776. But look at this. Mandami wins mayor race, 1776 weeks old and 4 days. This same day that he wins this, the team from New York, the Jets, traded away the number 1 player on their team who wears number 1. Oh, I forgot to mention, Dick Cheney died yesterday on the anniversary of the One World Trade Center opening. I totally forgot that part. And now a day after that, they trade player 1, who, again, this represents the One World Trade Center. That's why he's wearing number 1. They traded him away. And again, his name is Ahmed. And again, this is just a verification that if you translate the word Mandami or Mandani, whatever, it's the suffix is ani, which is in or of, and mom is a form of Muhammad. So it's follower of Muhammad. His last name actually means blooming flower. So that's interesting. But look at how high the World Trade Center is, 1776. And on the day the guy who's 1776 weeks old, he wins the election, and they trade away player number 1 from the Jets. I mean, come on. And the 1 is the monad, which in the rule of Kolel, the 1 can come and go as it pleases, right? I talked about this in my Wemby decode just a week ago. So I wonder if there's a connection to Sauce Gardner and Victor Wembanyama. So look at this. This is from Joseph Aquaviva. Make sure you guys go subscribe to his channel. And actually, I think other channels found this first. I think Zach Hubbard had this first, actually. So shout out to him. I think he found it first. But on November 3rd, again, he died November 3rd, Cheney, which is the anniversary, the 11th anniversary of the World Trade Center opening, the One World Trade Center. How about that? And he died 1260 weeks after September 11th. In gematria, September 11th equals 1260. Now, 1260 is a biblical number because 42 months in the Bible and Revelation is 1260 weeks. So that's huge. That's biblical, and that's crazily connected to 9/11. Now, another shout out to Joseph Aquaviva, who sent this over. The 1260, Joseph says he got from Derek. So I think Derek probably found this, and Zach probably both found it because they just did a measurement. I also saw this, but I didn't know September 11th equaled 1260. So, but look at this. So the Colts got their new corner, and the reason the Colts got their new corner from the Jets today is because they wanted to bolster their 4 horsemen. I even saw someone calling them 4 horsemen. So the Colts now have what is considered the best cornerback room in the National Football League, with Sauce Gardner and Kenny Moore, who's the best slot corner in the league, Charvarius Ward, who's one of the best corners in the league, and then Jalen Jones, who's not far behind. So they're calling these guys the no-fly zone. I mean, come on. I mean, I've saw many people using this phrase, no-fly. So just perfect. And again, this guy is from the Jets wearing number 1. His name is Ahmed. And there was actually lots of supposed people on the Jets in 9/11 that were named Ahmed or Muhammad, of course. But look at this. This is from Joseph. This is crazy right here. This is from Joseph and another account on Twitter called 666 is 777. So shout out to both of them. The UPS flight that crashed today, while all this was happening, the jet liner that crashed in Louisville. And let me just show you how close Louisville is to Indianapolis. So yesterday we had the death of Bob Trumpy, who's from Indianapolis. Look how close Indianapolis is to Cincinnati is to Indianapolis. Now, Louisville's not that much farther. I've driven these roads plenty. I live in this. I've lived in this area my whole life. I live up here. See this big lake right here? It's where I grew up. But so yeah, Indianapolis is not far from. But where'd the plane crash happen? At Muhammad Ali Airport. It happened in Louisville. And what was the flight number? And it's a UPS, which points to the U.S. Well, what's UPS stand for again? Exactly?
United Parcel Service.
United Parcel Service. Okay. But so, yeah, I mean, it was a UPS flight, and it was flight 2976. Well, look at what Joseph sent over. The official death toll for September 11th attacks was revised from 2976 to 2977. The additional of a victim whose death was determined to be direct result of the attacks, but long-term health effects. So how about that? Number 1, I've been talking about how this number 1 can move around. The reason why we're 1 number off here is because it represents Sauce Gardner, who wears number 1 and was traded today. And then you get this plane crash south of Indianapolis where he's going, right? And you get this. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous in just many ways. And yeah, so it was, and that the big key here is at Muhammad Ali Airport. When I saw that, I was like, are you kidding me? Joseph told me about it, and I was like, okay, there's a plane crash that probably connects. And it took me like an hour to figure out after that it was called Muhammad Ali Airport. But look at this. With Dick Cheney dying today, his full name is Richard Bruce Cheney. Well, if you take Sauce Gardner's full name and you add in his nickname, which is what they write here in Wikipedia, Ahmad Sauce Gardner, it equals Richard Bruce Cheney in 2 ciphers, 316 and 100. I think they chose Sauce because Sauce is the same gematria as Bruce. So it actually, that's what makes it line up. Sauce is just SA, where Bruce is just BR. So you're just like switching the letters because S is the 19. You guys get what I mean. That S is 1 less than or 1 more than R, and B is 1 more than A. So you just switch those letters, you're going to get the same value. But that means that their real names also have a 2 cipher. If you just go with their first and last names, they also has a 2 cipher match. And notice the 68s there. I mean, we know how big that is with the 9/11 because that's when the 9/11 was made the emergency dialing code. The World Trade Centers were started, So that's a huge number to be there. And this is what blew my mind too. Look at the birthday of Sauce Gardner. One day after I talked about Bob Trumpy and Charlie Jones announcing a game, right? What date did they announce their first game? But between the Colts and the Dolphins, it was 8/31. Well, whose birthday is 8/31? I did this yesterday. I didn't know Sauce Gardner was going to be traded to the Colts. I had no idea. I was talking about Bob Trumpy and Charlie Jones announcing the Colts, but I had no idea that the next day, a guy with the same birthday was going to be traded to the Colts. Like 3 years to the day after that is when he was born. And whose birthday? And remember, Trump is going to be meeting with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And what are the colors of Saudi Arabia? Same colors as the Jets. But look at the birthday of the Crown Prince So they have the same birthday, the Crown Prince and this player who was just traded today.
Wow.
And same colors. And this guy's born in 85. And this is the year Back to the Future happens. This is the year where all the famous wrestlers in WWE were born. Cody Rhodes was born. I've told you guys that Cody Rhodes, for some reason, they always have him winning King of the Rings in Saudi Arabia. He's won his Crown Jewel King of the Ring championship in Saudi Arabia. Cody Rhodes represents King Charles, but he connects to Saudi Arabia because he's always going there because the WWE has a deal with Saudi Arabia. And I could bring in a lot of WWE stuff with this, but I'm just mentioning that because this is a theme I've been on with the 1985 year. It's a huge year. As a matter of fact, when WWE champion Roman Reigns started his record-setting world championship reign that lasted 16 days, he started his reign on guess whose birthday? Yep, you guessed it. He started it on this guy's birthday. And it lasted for 16 days, which was the longest modern-day reign in this century. And Roman Reigns was born in 1985, just like this guy. And Cody Rhodes, who ended up beating Roman Reigns, was also born in 1985. So to me, this guy needs to be looked into way more. This guy, maybe he's you hear all these people talking about like the Antichrist. I mean, maybe he's way more important than a lot of people think because he seems really important, especially with what I'm showing here. So that's probably why Trump is going to be meeting with him very soon, right? And just a couple more things and I'll be done. I mentioned that the World Trade Center was 1776. So when Sauce Gardner, this is the big piece that's missing with the Colts-Jets thing I didn't mention yet. The teams that played 2 days before the actual attacks was the Colts and the Jets. This is why you're getting this story today between the Colts and the Jets. And this is a very rare thing. Sauce Gardner is a star player. Everyone was shocked by this. No one expected this. And look at how he wears the one. And the Jets.
Do you know who that Downs player is? Is that a current player?
Yeah, I'm going to explain because what happened was you see how Gardner wears one, but I find it interesting that the Jets jerseys actually make the one look like a tower. Look at that. Like most of the NFL jerseys, they have like a little thing on the top, like normally what you see with a one. But this like literally is designed, as you can see, to look like a tower to me.
Right. It looks like a silhouette.
It looks like it looks like a silhouette of the Trade Center to me. Like just the way it's shaped and everything. And so what happened after this trade from the Jets to the Colts? Well, the guy who had the number one for the Colts gave up his one for this guy and said, "Glory is Josh Downs, like down, the towers went down."
Yeah.
And he gave up his number one and said 2, slippery. So like there's a huge, and again, I follow the Colts very heavily because they were my favorite team. So that's why for me, these connections are like really clear because I've been following the Colts like very heavily, especially because they've been doing so well. But yeah, I just added that in there because it's super interesting that he gave up his number one. And think about it. 2 towers became 0, became 1. So you have the same symbolism. And when what city in the United States, what in the NFL, what's the one city that has that 201 connection? It is Indianapolis. Right?
Yeah.
So
there you have it.
It's pretty clear. And in Indianapolis, another crazy thing that I found, and Rambo, you might like this. I've been using the K cipher, right? And it's been coming up big for me. So look at the full name of Bob Trumpy, who died yesterday. His full name, Robert Theodore Trumpy Jr. If you type it in the K cipher, it equals 465. Well, if you do a little date measurement from the birth of Trumpy to the birth of Donald Trump, Trumpy was born March 6th, 1945. Trump born 1946. It's actually exactly the gematria of his name.
Oh, wow.
So, and this is not a coincidence, because let me explain how this is what's kind of mind-blowing. That 465 is actually a triangular number. It's the 30th. And what's Colt's equal in basic gematria? Now, this is important. I'm going to get to this circle stuff that Rambo's been talking about. 30, when you turn 30 years old, you turn 360 months. So the number 30 is, when you do a date span, you're getting that 360 like a circle. And Indianapolis is called Circle City. And what is the number of the road that circles Indianapolis? Take one guess.
201 Avenue.
460. 465.
465.
Wow.
Ooh.
Which, again, so if you travel from Cincinnati or Louisville to Indianapolis, you have to essentially pass 465. And at the center of Indianapolis, so the circle around Indianapolis is 465, which, again, this is the Dana days that Trump and Bob Trumpy were born apart. And another thing to mention here is it's exactly 17 moon sidereal months between Trump and Trumpy. Well, that's the state that he died in, the 17th state, Ohio. And then I found out also that if you measure from Trumpy to Cheney's birth, guess how many there? It's the Mercury year. I'll show you. So if you go from Cheney, who just died today, who was born on, and that's another thing. Cheney was born on the 30th day of the year, and this happened the next day after this whole 465 thing. And look how many Mercury years they're born apart. Cheney and Trumpy, exactly 17, to go again with the 17th state, Ohio. And the circle that goes around, again, 465 is the 30th triangular number, but at the center of Indianapolis, there's a circle. And at the center of that circle is a monument. And at the center of that monument is Lady Victory, made by a German, which is going to tie us into what we're probably going to talk about later with the game coming up between the Colts and the Falcons on the birthday of this guy, Charlie Jones. So his birthday is 11/9, November 9th, which is coming up. And again, at the center of that monument circle is, I'll just pull up a picture of it. It's called the Soldiers and Sailors I can't say Sailors Monument. But yeah, it's quite the monument. And here's Lady Victory, which actually is based off the goddess Nike. Of course, Nike definitely, the football players are definitely walking around wearing Nike stuff, right? So this is why I think the Colts could really go to the Super Bowl now. It seems to be building towards that, especially with them adding this player now. But maybe it's just another foolery. Who knows? But we will continue to follow this as we get closer to the Super Bowl. But yeah, that's all I got, I think. I just think it was really important to mention that other part with that 465 going around Indianapolis, like a circle. And Rambo's been all over the circle all year. And actually, one last thing, I want to give a shout out to Joseph again. This is worth mentioning. The lady who look at the CEO of UPS, Carol. Charles again, guys. You can't get away from this. Like, seriously. Carol is a form of Charles. I talked about this in my Walking Dead because in that series, there's a girl named Carol. And there's a kid named Carl, which is also Charles. So anyway, her name's Carol B. Tomey. This happened, I guess it was after her birthday or after she took office. I don't know which one. But it was 2 months and 22 weeks and 2 days. I guess after she took office. Yeah, it has to be after she took office. And I guess it was 666 days. So if you go back 666 days from today, it actually lands on her birthday. Just like if you went back from the day Charlie Kirk was shot, 666 days, you landed on King Charles' birthday. So here's Carol again, Charles, So you get the same theme. I'm telling you, this King Charlie thing is never going to go away now. It's going to be continuing. So thank you, Joseph, for your additions. Oh, the airport is 84 years old. Oh, wait. Is the airport 84 years old? Let me verify that real fast to go with all the 84s. Muhammad Ali Airport. Yep. It was founded in 1941. How about that? The same year that Dick Cheney died or was born. The same year as 9/11 or as Pearl Harbor. And again, the 84th anniversary of Pearl Harbor is literally on the day the United States turns 9/11/01 days old. That to me is just wild still. I can't believe that. So yeah, we'll talk about maybe more later, but I want to hand it off to one of the other two guys to their additions and see what you guys have to say.
Yeah, it's an incredible decode. Amazing.
Yeah, Rambo. I mean,
I appreciate you.
I can flip through a few of my slides, I guess, from my earlier presentation. And these are things outside of the stuff that KODI was talking about. Yeah, mine's a bit more elementary, but I know that you got plenty as well. So
I have some things regarding what KODI presented.
Yeah, please.
So, okay, so this is a major, let's say, esoteric element. It's if this world is a matrix, and another metaphor people like to use is a web. This is one of the elements at the middle of the web, if not the center of the web. It's a very important metaphor and allegory. Some people say it's a historic place. And that is Solomon's temple. And that is what this is at the heart of it. Esoterically, this is all about Solomon's temple on so many levels. So that's where 84. So Solomon's temple, that's where 119 comes from. Why are we talking about 119? Why is 119 or 9/11 so important? You have to go to the heart of it. It's based on a significant event that is said to have taken place on 119. That's what all the 119s are based on. It was a sacred number to the Nazi party because the Nazis considered themselves to be, they're the Third Reich. I think the Second Reich was I guess the Prussian Empire, the German Prussian Empire, and the First Reich was the Roman Empire. They were the Third Reich. They were the New Rome. Well, Rome, so the Nazis got 119 from Rome because the Nazis used 119 for Kristallnacht to start the Holocaust in 1938. That was the 9th day of the 11th month. In 1923, the Nazis used the 9th day of the 11th month to violently attempt to overthrow the German government. They used the 9th day of the 11th month and as a calling card to let you know that the Nazi party still exists. The Berlin Wall came down on the 9th day of the 11th month. Now, the Nazis are supposed to have been long gone. Well, of course, they're not going to call themselves Nazis and wear swastikas. Obviously, you can't exist that way. And they speak through code. The Berlin Wall came down the 9th day of the 11th month as a Nazi calling card. But where did so they got that from Rome? And where did Rome use 11/9 when the Roman Empire destroyed the Second Temple in Jerusalem? They did it on the 9th day, Tisha, in Hebrew, of the 11th month of the Hebrew civic calendar, which is the month of Av. So Tisha B'Av means 9th of Av, which commemorates the destruction of the temples. The Second Temple by Rome was on the 9th day of the 11th month. Rome chose that day. Why did Rome choose that day? Because they were honoring Babylon. And Babylon is said to have destroyed the first Solomon's temple on the 9th day of the 11th month. We're in the 119th. Okay, that's a great comment there by a visionary vet. We're in the 119th Congress. You write that one down real quick. But I don't want to forget that. Anyway, so it started with Babylon destroying the first temple of Solomon. on the 9th day of the 11th month. And if you look in the Latin cipher, Tisha B'Av sums to 9/11. What is Tisha B'Av? It's the 9th day of the 11th month. So it started with Babylon. That's as far as it gets. It starts with Babylon. That means that what you're seeing today. So of course, what is the architectural feature, the main defining architectural feature of Solomon's temple? It's the twin pillars. And what is the middle pillar, the middle building, building 7 of the World Trade Center, the Salomon Brothers building. Salomon is Latin for Solomon. So the World Trade Center was a metaphorical Solomon's temple, and it was brought down on 9/11. Just as Babylon, it started with Babylon destroying Solomon's temple on Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the 11th month of the Hebrew civic calendar. This is at the heart of it. So let's go to the heart of it. All this is happening, but why? This is the heart of it. This is where it all starts. And then, okay, so Solomon's temple has some deep symbolism. There's very little historical proof that the first temple really existed. There's none at all that it existed. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. There is proof that the second one did exist. And when was the second temple destroyed? It was Tisha B'Av in the Jewish civic calendar. But what is that date in the Gregorian calendar when the second temple was destroyed by Rome in Jerusalem? August 4th, 84. That's why 84 is so significant. 84 and August 1st are the days on which it is the date on which the second temple was destroyed by Rome. That is why 84 is so significant. And so much of the elements that the KODI has shown here all go back to Solomon's temple, all the 119s, all the 911s. That's where it starts, the 84. That's when Solomon's temple was destroyed in 70 AD, the second temple in Jerusalem. So now there's talk of building a third temple on the site of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And this is where all the Muhammad comes in. He's talking about Muhammad Ali and the Muhammad symbolism, and it's the most common Arabic name. So you'll always get a lot of Muhammads, but the golden dome on the complex where the Al-Aqsa Mosque is, the Al-Aqsa Mosque does not have the golden dome. The golden dome is the Dome of the Rock. But Jerusalem is I think it's the third most holy site in Islam. Of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Golden Dome. And the Prophet is said to have ascended from there. And he's said to have ascended on a Pegasus. That's the belief. And a Pegasus is a white horse, which so that could be your colt too. Your colt could be the Pegasus on which the Prophet Muhammad rode into heaven, which is a white horse with wings. That's very, very important. And of course, you have what is Louisville, Kentucky known for? The Kentucky Derby, the horse. So the horse symbol is important there, but it's important to Islam as well. And I said what the 84s were. I just took some notes here. Now, Mamdani is interesting. He's very, very interesting because he has dual citizenship. He's an American. He's also has a citizenship of Uganda in East Africa. Why is Uganda? And I've talked about the U. There's a lot of significance with the letter U, starting with the U Street thing. I'm saying U, all the stuff's going on. Utah. Me and my community were on Utah long before Charlie Kirk. And that started when the U Street incident in Washington, D.C., where the attorney threw the Subway sandwich at the ICE officers, and I knew it was significant because Pam Bondi, the highest law enforcement official in the United States, commented on it. As far as the highest law enforcement official in Washington, D.C., which is Janine Pirro, she commented on it. When all these people commented on that, and the announcer, when I saw the TV announcement, I was thinking it's on U Street, Subway sandwich. So we were on the U in the Utah. Well, Mamdani has dual citizenship, the United States and Uganda, East Africa. Not from the Middle East, from Uganda. Why is Uganda so significant? when they wanted to establish a Zionist state, a Jewish homeland, they had several Zionist congresses, which is led by Theodore Herzl. The very first country. I mean, some people assume like, Jewish people claim to have originated from the Middle East, so naturally they wanted to go back home. No, Palestine was never the original. It was not the original proposed site for a Zionist state. The very first country proposed for the location of the Zionist state of Israel was Uganda, and that was on August 26th, 1903, at the 6th Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland. Theodore Herzl himself, along with others, proposed that Uganda would be the location of the very first location for the state of Israel. If you let me share my screen,
yeah,
I can bring up. Can you see that?
We can now. Yeah, we're good.
All right. This is from JewishVirtualLibrary.org, Zionist Congress, the Uganda proposal, August 26, 1903. So it says here, when Theodore Herzl began his quest to establish a homeland for the Jewish people, he sought out the support of the great powers to help achieve his goal. In 1903, Herzl turned to Great Britain and met with Joseph Chamberlain, the British colonial secretary, and others, high-ranking officials who agreed in principle to Jewish settlement in East Africa. At the 6th Zionist Congress at Basel on August 26, 1903, Herzl proposed the British Uganda program as a temporary refuge for the Jews in Russia in immediate danger. By a vote of 295 to 178, it was decided to send an expedition to examine the territory proposed. 3 days later, the British government released an official document allocating the Jewish territory in East Africa on conditions which will enable members to observe their national customs. That was supposed to be the location of Israel. Now, it was rejected, but even after being rejected, some people still tried to push Uganda. So the Uganda program was finally rejected by the Zionist movement at the 7th Zionist Congress in 1905. But Nahum Sirkin and Israel Zangwill called an alternative conference to continue the plan of the Uganda scheme. So, and Mamdani has dual citizenship with Uganda. So Uganda, this all goes back to Solomon's Temple. That's at the heart of all of this. If there is a web, and the matrix is a web, let's try to use the matrix metaphor, then at the heart of the matrix is Solomon's temple and the destruction of Solomon's temple. And what I say is the main dark forces, you could say, in power now are on the side of the destroyers of Solomon's temple. And the way you work is you infiltrate. They're not going to admit that they are. They're going to, it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Of course, they're going to disguise yourself to be more effective. Those in power are actually against Solomon's temple, whatever Solomon's temple represents, because Solomon's temple is not, it's not really a physical place. And a lot of many Jewish scholars and interpreters of Jewish religion will say that it's a metaphor. Even things like the Exodus, they'll say that those are metaphors. They're not literal. The Red Sea can't part, and they say these are metaphors. They're very important metaphors, and you have to understand it's a metaphor so you don't miss the lesson. And Solomon's temple is a metaphor. Maybe it is a physical. Well, the second temple is definitely a real place. And when you destroy Solomon's temple, it's a very seriously evil act to do, especially when you're destroying the metaphorical, and you can debate or have a different opinion as to what is the metaphor of Solomon's temple. And I said Solomon's temple is actually, it represents the human soul, and the human soul the completion of Solomon's temple is the completion of your soul's journey. Which a lot of it has to do with self-discovery. And that's at the heart of what honest, sincere Freemasons, that's why Solomon's Temple is at the heart of them. And that institution has been infiltrated by evil forces as well. And for them, Solomon's Temple is a physical place. And what's the number of matter? The number of the physical, it's 666. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. That's what makes up matter. That's why 666 represents the world of matter, the illusion, the matrix. If you think Solomon's Temple is a physical place, then you're actually on the side of those who are against it. And
but there's also kind of that duality, right, in the Bible with that particular verse, because they say it's the number of the beast, but which is also the number of a man, right?
Right.
That, at least that's part of my interpretation of it, where there is that, you know, duality of any number, for example, and any symbol, right? Like it's really all about how it's being used. Right, like 666 could be bad, but in a way there could be a beautiful side to it, in the sense that, you know, we as humans, we are made of the 666.
That's
right. Like
that's a reference to the human body.
Yeah,
the human. But I say this is the thing: if people identify with their physical body, which is temporary, which will turn to dust before you know it, time goes very fast. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Your body will be dust. The essence that is animating the body will not die, cannot die, has no end, has no beginning, and that's the real you. To discover the real you, the real essence, the eternal essence, the spirit, to discover that is to complete Solomon's Temple. A physical Solomon's Temple is like the body, which is temporary, and that's why 666 is the number of matter. And if you focus on just it's the matrix, it's the number of the matrix. That's why 666 comes up in computers so much. The first Apple computer cost $666. And even in Gematria, if you use the Sumerian ciphers, computer 666, internet 666, every barcode has 666 coded into it. That's the number of computer. And what's the matrix about? About the material world being a world of illusion. What's illusion in Gematria, in the Sumerian cipher? It's 666.
Right.
And that's what a man is. By saying man, what they're referring to is the human body. That's 666. That's the illusion. And the illusion is you think that's you, that physical thing that you see, which is temporary. Well, the real you is the consciousness that you can't see, that existed before your body did and will exist after your body goes. To go all in on the body and be convinced that that's you and that the material world is all that there is, that's like thinking the Solomon's Temple is a physical place. Once you build that, you'll go to, I don't know, go to heaven or make heaven on earth. I don't even know, not even sure what that's supposed to fulfill. When they say number of a man, that's consistent with this. The number by man, they mean a human body. It's the number of the physical realm, the number of the matrix. Like I said, illusion is 666, internet 666, computer 666. The first computer cost $666. Matter, which is the physical, carbon 12, which is a component of most of matter. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. That is what is meant by the number of a man. Of course, Solomon, 666 is also associated with Solomon. He had 666 talents of gold.
Right.
And what's gold? It's a material. It's not spiritual. And it's so those who think of Solomon's Temple as a physical place, yes, okay, they'll think of Solomon as a rich man. And if anyone had duality, it's Solomon himself, because he had wisdom. But he also, I guess you could say, he prospered in the material realm. He had money, he had material wealth, but if he was even a real person, but they're describing a person who, I guess, mastered the matrix, you could say, but also had spiritual wisdom together. So and that's the duality, like Sol, Mon, Sol, sun, Mon, moon. But the man is the body, and that's not the real person. And of course, it's a very powerful, the matrix, a very, very convincing illusion. And you can't see the material plane. You can't see, no one can see like a video of what happens after someone. You'll never see that. So, and that's the challenge. Most people are only ever going to identify with what they see physically, but it's something temporary that will be gone before you know it. I mean, no one knows when people die at all, in infancy. You die in your 20s, 30s. Some of us may die tomorrow. Nothing's guaranteed. The physical is temporary. And that's the 666. That's the illusion. That's not the real substance. Now, those who are you can say evil, the destroyers of Solomon's temple. This is all there is to them, as well as demons. So demons come from a lower realm, and yes, Solomon did in legend control demons. For a demon to be in this realm, I mean, this is heaven to them. They can't go any higher. A demon can't go any higher than the 3D. They can't go where we can go. We who have souls, we can go to a higher dimension. Demons can't. So to them, they're all in on 3D, and what they're trying to do is trap everybody else on 3D with things like this, thinking that Solomon's temple is a physical place, and they'll spend all this money on it. They'll start World War III. They'll do all sorts of. If they're going to build there, I mean, it's going to just destabilize the entire world. But that's at the heart of this. It's Solomon's temple, and so think of the Saudi prince's name is Salman. That's a Arabic version of Solomon. Salman. Another thing about the Syrian president, he's actually a leader of Al Qaeda. He's literally a member of Al Qaeda. So, especially Trump supporters need to ask why Donald Trump is now honoring and inviting into the White House a literal member of Al Qaeda. Because they're all on the same side. They're all on the same side, and they're all destroyers. Al Qaeda is, Trump is, Zionists are. They're actually anti-Solomon's temple. And that's at the heart of it. And yeah, those are my notes. And those are like, the 84 is important. 84, August 4th, that's when the second temple was destroyed. That's why you're seeing 84. And that's why August 4th, it all goes back to Solomon's temple.
Yeah, and I want, and to that point with the tying it back to the 8-4, I wanted to shout out the Enthused Dreams, talking about, as you mentioned, Rambo, Solomon, Sol means sun, but the O, right, in between Sol and Mon could represent an eclipse, right? So Sol, Mon, moon. And don't forget the big eclipse last year, which was on April 8th, another 8-4.
Oh, yeah, good observation.
Right, so kind of that duality, the two becoming one, right, in an eclipse, you know. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
So I think Solomon represents that duality. So he mastered the matrix, but he has also mastered spirituality. I mean, so he's, I mean, I don't think there's such a, I mean, some people think there was a person. So that's not to say that saying that this is a matrix and an illusion doesn't mean that, okay, then this world doesn't matter at all. No, you still, this world, life still, so you need to balance it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you disregard it. You still have to try to make this world a better place, you know, as well as for yourself. You have to care about personal health. Right. And a big taboo, I mean, so even if this is a world of illusion and it's temporary and it has nowhere near the substance of the eternal spirit world, a big taboo is suicide. There are serious consequences. I mean, people have different beliefs. Well, I believe in this reincarnation. It's the most just form. The reincarnation is more of a form of justice. That's as far as I can see. Everybody has their take on this. Life is a mystery. I respect anyone's take, and I respect atheists. I understand why people are atheists. But suicide has very serious consequences, because life is precious. Even though life in the material world is still precious. Nature still has power. And so it's not to say that you should dismiss. You still should make the effort, the best of your ability, to make the material plane, illusion that it is, or matrix that it is, a better place. Starting with yourself. And Solomon is an example of somebody who mastered that, who mastered the matrix material realm, but still had the perspective and mastered the spiritual realm as well. That's the duality of Solomon.
Sure.
And that's why you see 666 associated with it. 666 talents of gold. And so when you see all this Salman, which is the Saudi prince's name, and Solomon and Uganda, so that's what that's what Mamdani he ties to Uganda, and it ties to the U I've been talking about. I've been talking about the U ever since that incident. And there's also the I think it was in 2015. Just real quick, I'll just end on this. There was a September 11th event in 2015 in Saudi Arabia. There was the Mecca crane collapse. Now, that's another thing about the Saud family. I said how they infiltrate. So all religions have been infiltrated. There are satanic forces in Christianity who call themselves Christians. They're in Islam and they're in Judaism. They're everywhere. They'll wear the face, the mask. Because of course you're not going to come out and say I'm satanic and with horns and everything and admit it. Of course you're not. You're going to infiltrate and pretend you're the opposite. So the Saud family, they're the same. They're not really Muslims. And I'll give an example of how they've proven that they're not. So a very highly venerated and revered site in, I believe it was in Medina. I don't think it was in Mecca. I think it was in Medina. Was the house of the wife of the Prophet Muhammad. Her name is Khadija. The house of Khadija. You can understand why. In Islam, it's a very highly, regarded, almost holy site. The Saud family destroyed it. They razed it to the ground. They destroyed the house of the wife of the Prophet Muhammad. The Sauds did it. And it's not just that. What did they do after that? What did they build on that site? Public toilets. The Saud family put public toilets on the site of the house of the wife of the Prophet Muhammad. They are not Muslims. They hate Islam. Does the Bible talk about in the end times? Does the Bible talk about the synagogue of Satan? Well, there's also the mosque of Satan. Those who say that they are Muslims but are not, but instead are of the mosque of Satan. And you can see that with the church. And these forces are all together. And this is why the White House is now literally inviting a member of Al-Qaeda. United States and primarily Israel basically got rid of Assad from Syria and placed their man in charge in Syria, and they picked Al-Qaeda. So much for Al-Qaeda being the big nemesis of the United States in the West. Now they're being invited into the White House. He's literally an Al-Qaeda leader. He literally is. And because they're all on the side of destroying Solomon's Temple, which is what the World Trade Center was. And this goes to the heart of this. This is what this all is: very dark, anti-human rituals that are going on. And Solomon's Temple represents the highest, achievement for the human soul. I mean, and again, it's not saying that certain people are special. Just in general, there are other metaphors from other traditions, but that's what it is. So when they want to destroy it, trap the human soul in the material, prevent it from reaching its highest level of consciousness and fulfillment.
And do you feel that with kind of in that same breath that these rituals that maybe we call them sometimes, these alignments, the wordplay, the names of these, people and articles, etc. Do you feel that? How do you feel? This is kind of an off the cuff question, Rambo. Maybe you don't have an opinion on it, but how do you feel that helps with, keeping people in the material plane? If that makes sense. These things that we see keep playing out, and we're seeing how it's all synced and scripted together in these very bizarre ways. How do you feel that overlaps or influences keeping people in this material plane? I'm guessing through kind of trances and that kind of mind control aspect, right?
Yes, it has to do with consciousness manipulation. Everything's about consciousness. So you'll see there's so many metaphors for the brain. In fact, Solomon's Temple itself, the twin pillars, represent the two hemispheres of the human brain, the left and right hemisphere. And we talk about the balance and duality. You want the balance between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. And that's actually one of the meanings of the twin pillars. And twin pillars are not only seen in Solomon's Temple. I mean, there's no proof that the first temple ever existed, but the metaphor is important. Twin pillars were first seen in ancient Egypt. You'll see twin pillars all over ancient Egypt at their temples. Sometimes you'd have twin obelisks, but if not twin obelisks, there'd be twin pillars. And even when you look at Horus, the Eye of Horus, they got the design for the Eye of Horus from a cross section of the human brain, which looks like a falcon at certain points. And that's where Horus became the falcon. That actually comes from the human brain. There's certain parts of the human brain that looks like the outline of a falcon, a bird. And that's actually that's why Horus and Ra, the sun gods, are falcons, have falcon heads. It all goes back to the human brain and perception. And so the main way of keeping people trapped is through human perception. That's why they do so much trauma-based mind control, as well as just other forms of consciousness manipulation and perception manipulation. The worst form is the hands-on trauma-based mind control, where you force somebody through trauma, physical and mental, to dissociate, at which point your body is not occupied because you have to escape to survive the trauma, at which point demons can enter and alter egos can be implanted. And all secret societies do this. Governments do it. Militaries do it, especially. A lot of MK Ultra people come from military backgrounds and military families. You know, Timothy McVeigh and all these people. So many of them have military backgrounds. They do it. Secret societies do it. Elite families do it to their own children. That's all consciousness manipulation. There's a war on human consciousness from day one, and that's at the heart of all of this. It's preventing humans from, metaphorically, completing Solomon's temple, reaching the highest level of consciousness. Now, why they're so insecure, I can't really say. All mythology has this. This is power who's deathly afraid of one thing more than anything else, and that's a free will, independent thinking human being. Zeus hoarded lightning, and strictly he forbade humans having even the tiniest piece of lightning. Well, that was where Prometheus went wrong in Zeus's eyes. Zeus is not just a god, and he's Jupiter, the chief god of Rome. Rome is still in power now. He's supposed to not only be God, the chief god. Other gods look up to Zeus. But what is the one thing this god of gods, the most powerful of all gods, a god who other gods look up to, what is the one thing, according to the mythology, that Zeus was afraid of? Well, a god like that shouldn't be afraid of anything. There is one thing he was afraid of, and that's humans. Not that humans are trying to harm him, just humans advancing, just being the best they can be. And he said strictly, I have the lightning, which is a metaphor for knowledge. I strictly forbid humans from having any of it. Why? What are you afraid of? And that force is in power today. Definitely afraid of humans reaching the highest level of consciousness. And completion of Solomon's temple is a metaphor for humans achieving the highest form of consciousness. And that's what they're bent on preventing. And that's what the destruction of Solomon's temple is. Mm-hmm. Metaphorically. Now, a real solid brick and mortar Solomon's temple, that's, again, because they're stuck. Demons are stuck in 3D. This is the highest they get. As far as demons are concerned, this is heaven. They can't go higher. We can. So that's the advantage we have. We have a soul. But through conscious manipulation, we're kind of cut off from that. It's hard to even detect the spirit realm. Yeah, I'll leave it there. But I just want to go to the heart, the esoteric heart of what I'm seeing. And everything adds up. The 84. Solomon's temple. The name Salman. Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda. I mean, this is the thing. So if you're inviting Al-Qaeda to the White House, now you got to look back and say, oh, wait a minute. So you guys were working together all along. I mean, I don't think 9/11, okay, once you have it at the White House, we could, the whole 9/11, I think should be solved at this point. Oh, so you guys were, it's like a big reveal. Oh, you're working together all along. Okay, we get it. To do what? To destroy Solomon's temple, the Salomon Brothers building. That was the middle building, the twin pillars. Again, that's the two hemispheres of the brain.
Yeah, hey, Cody, I saw that you had another, well, I don't think you got rid of your screen share last time. I don't know if you wanted me to add to that.
Yeah, you can pull mine up if you want, because there's a few things I just, because Rambo started talking about it, because last week I did that. Obviously, I did that Victor Wembanyama thing. His name equals 185, like Solomon's Temple as well, like World Trade Center. So the gematria actually tells us that too, of course. But what's interesting is I just did a match with some of the stuff I had been searching for tonight, and I just found some interesting connections. Well, look at the guy's name that they got traded today. C equals Solomon's Temple in 2 ciphers, and Richard Cheney. They actually share a cipher as well. That's 68. Now, the Dolphins Colts thing is interesting because that's the game that seems to keep coming up. That was the first game of the season for the Colts, and that was the first game of the season in 1997 when Bob Trumpy and Charlie Jones announced. Actually, Bob Trumpy and Charlie Jones announced both of the Dolphins Colts games that year. The Colts lost the first one, but they won the second one 41-0. They beat Dan Marino 41-0, and that's pretty impressive because Dan Marino was a star quarterback back then, right. And he didn't score 1 point in that game. And 41, of course, is the gematria of Super Bowl. So that's why I was thinking, wow, that's super interesting. And I don't remember how many days it was from Daniel Jones' birth to that game, but obviously Daniel Jones has got the Golden Gate Bridge's birthday or the opening day. So I think, let me just see here again what that was, because maybe there's something I'm missing with that. When was that again? What did I say that was? 8/31. Whoops. Yeah, something about the year 1997 keeps coming up. I think it's because 1997 we're in the year 25 and 97 is the 25th prime, so they're linking these years in a way with this 25-97 connection. Let's see. So it was 97 days. Wow. So yeah, Daniel Jones was 97 days old on that day. Wow.
Ooh.
25th prime, which points us to this year when he would become the Colt and when his first game would be. His first game would be on 9/7 versus the Dolphins. Just like 97 days after his birth, the Dolphins played the Colts on the day that Princess Diana crashed. And look at this. Dolphins, I believe, equals 97.
There you go.
And doesn't a plane crash equal 97 also? So she didn't die in a plane crash, but she died in a crash. So, yeah, that was, Serpent, of course. I mean, it's been a big number this year, that 97. The biggest crash of the year was the Trump tariffs on the 97th day of the year, which was 4/7. So there's been a lot of 97s. But yeah, so there you go. Daniel Jones being at the center of this stuff again. And then I know, Rambo, you wanted to talk more about the also with Sauce Gardner real fast. The Sauce thing, I kind of thought about it for a minute. And I thought, wait, Sauce, Saudi Arabia, Sauce has the same first 3 letters as Saudi Arabia. So that might be something with that.
Sauce kind of also goes back to Rambo's sandwich themes.
Yeah. Maybe that is part of it.
There's a lot of food oriented rituals going on.
And let's see. What was I going to do?
Well, Cody, if you don't mind, just with
I just wanted to show.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm on a little bit of a lag, I think. That's why I always cut you guys off, because my internet's always lagging here. So that's why there's always kind of a bit of a feedback. But what were you going to say? Because now I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say with regards to the 68s, if you don't mind, I'm going to take the stage here really quick. This was from my presentation earlier today, but really quick, back to the 84s, like we talked about, that was the number that Trumpy wore, United States of America 84, just like Robert. But don't forget about Donald Trump the obvious connection with Trumpy, right? He had a brother named Robert, right? So his name was Robert Trumpy, and Donald Trump had a brother named Robert Trump, right? So with the 68s, though, look at that. Robert Trump 68, just like Donald J. Trump and Donald John Trump, all equal 68. And his reported death, Trumpy, was 68 days after Robert Trump's birthday. See that?
So wait, they all have that 68 in that same cipher. Sauce Gardner, Dick Cheney, Robert Trump, Donald J. Trump. They all have that in the same cipher, huh? Solomon's Temple, all that same cipher.
Uh-huh.
And that cipher is overlooked as like being kind of like the last of the four, but it's very important. That reverse reduction cipher is always like when I'm doing decodes on games and stuff, like it seems like that cipher always comes in pretty handy. So, and Donald Trump has had a lot of rituals with the 68 as well. I mean, and his full name also equals 68, like you shared. So that's a good point. That's because I was going to look into Robert Trump, but I totally didn't have time. So I'm glad you found that because that kind of connects everything.
Well, you think about Solomon Brothers building, right? Donald Trump's brother, in a sense, kind of goes back to brotherly love and Philly winning last year's Super Bowl. But just a couple other main tidbits, right? This was exactly 32 weeks before Trump's next birthday, which is Flag Day. Big number with the NFL, right? 32, America. So is Trumpy. Cody, shout out to you. You did an awesome video covering this Bears-Bengals thing and the 47 in Ohio and all that. I just made this slide to point out that, look, Bob Trumpy was born in 45, kind of like how Trump became number 45. And then his Bengals ended up losing to the Bears, who scored 47 points. Trump became number 47. But notice this, too. When the Bengals lost, right, Mr. Trumpy's team, they dropped to 3-6, kind of like how Trumpy was born on March 6th. The date written 3-6, and Bears equals 36.
Yeah, and the Bears, just need to say this: the Bears have that Obama connection, which goes back to 8-4, and of course Charlie Kirk. The Charlie Kirk thing's always going to be there as well, but the Obama thing is interesting because he wore the 84 like Obama, and then they lose to the Bears with 47. And what's interesting is just that day before that in WWE, CM Punk from Chicago finally won his championship. CM Punk equals 84. He's from Chicago. His whole thing is about being Chicago. So I did a video about that 2 days ago about the last time is now stuff. But yeah, that Bears stuff has been really interesting. And I feel like it's also kind of where the 8-4 connects with Obama. So
Yep. I mean, the 42 matters too, right? Bob Trumpy, 42. Bengals lose with 42 points the same day as his reported death. As far as him dying at 80, right? He was a legend in Cincinnati, Ohio, which equals 80. But then lastly, this is what I thought was really interesting, is that when you take a look at the Bengals founding date and you measure from his reported death on November 2nd back to the founding date, that's 163 days, the 38th prime, right? Big number with death, RIP, murder, killing. But then you measure from the reported death to Joe Burrow's upcoming birthday, it's 38 days. So it's like a double 38 stamped onto a legendary Cincinnati Bengals player, you know? So,
yeah. The Cincinnati Bengals, yeah, it was crazy that they did that too because of the King Charles connection. He became king in the year of the tiger, right? And Cincinnati is the Queen City, and that's why he did a 98-yard touchdown return to start the game, because the Queen died on 9/8 in the year of the tiger, and then the Queen City starts out the game with the tiger running 98 yards. I mean, it was a huge tribute to that, but like that 38 I didn't catch. So that's another good one.
Yeah. Sorry. Hold on a second.
Let's see. Also, what was I going to say?
So August 26th is significant because that was the date of the 6th Zionist Congress that I just showed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was August 26th. The 6th Zionist Congress was August. AJ, while you were gone, I was saying.
Sorry about that.
Could you go back to that slide where you're showing the August 26th and Trump's brother?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what I was going to say, when I showed the 6th Zionist Congress, which is when they first proposed a location for the Zionist state of Israel, and they chose Uganda, they call it the Uganda proposal. That was on August 26th. So yeah, this ties into my decode. Yeah.
Wow.
So these are important. It all comes together. I think what it's all tied to.
Right.
Yeah. August 26th. Yeah, that's the anniversary.
There was something else about that day. I mean, I can't remember what I was thinking. There's something else that happened on that day. I thought that I had it in my head earlier, but now it slipped me.
August 26th is in the United States is Women's Equality Day. August 26th. August 26th is also, I guess, International Dog Day. I didn't even realize he was there. I did not even realize he was there. That's appropriate. Look at August 26th is Dog Day. It's International Dog Day. Right as he makes an appearance. It is. It's international.
Hi, Cooper.
Now I can show if you show me my screen. I can show you. If you go to my
yeah.
Can you see my screen?
There we go.
Well, okay. First, I just wanted to confirm this is from the AP in Uganda, where Zohan Ramdani was born. NYC mayoral hopeful is recalled with pride. So it's just confirmation. It's not just me saying. He's from Uganda as well. Okay, I'll just look up International Dog Day.
Uganda kind of sounds like you gone.
Or you're going to.
That's what I was thinking too.
I'm thinking of you're going to. You're gonna.
You're gonna. Yep.
Yeah.
International Dog Day. No, it's here.
Quantum Mania left a good comment in the chat, AJ, about Robert Trump. That adds to this too.
International Dog Day. It's August 26th.
Yeah.
I know Cooper wasn't looking. You got it.
Robert Trump was on the board of the company that made the video game Wolfenstein when German socialists won World War II and take over America. Huh. He was on the board of the company.
So he was.
Jeez.
He was on the board of that video game. That's crazy.
Whoa.
Man, you're really doing your research there, Quantum Mania, knowing that he's on the board of a video game maker.
Jeez. What console was that, I wonder?
Yeah, I know that game. I've heard of it, but like I don't know if that was how old that was or not. But I mean, I used to play games back in the day.
So I do have another Ahmad. Now that you mentioned Ahmad, this player, he plays for Manchester United, which is Manchester United. They're owned by the owners of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But he just scored a goal over the weekend. And now that Cody has brought up this Mohammed and Ahmad decode, I can see why he scored. This is another Ahmad.
Yeah, of course.
It was a great goal he scored. It wasn't like.
Yeah, I wonder how many days he's born.
I mean, July 11th. So what is July? It's the 7th month, and in Latin. So this is before they had the, they added, what is it? July and August. No, not July. What is it? What are the 2 months they added? They added August and maybe it was July. Yeah, Julius. Named after Julius. The 7th month was Sept. So September used to be July. Used to be 7/11. So 11th September used to be 11th of the Sept, because Sept is 7 in Latin. So July 11th or 11th July is like a September 11th. And Yeah, he just scored, and the significance there of Manchester United too. And it wasn't like you could the type of thing you can just plan. No, it took a lot of skill to score that. So who knows how they do that? But he plays for Manchester United, and they have the trident on their logo, and the trident was all over the World Trade Centers. This is a big part.
Well, doesn't the trident make you think? Doesn't the trident make you think Neptune? And doesn't the Dolphins and Colts kind of have a very heavy Neptune thing? The two teams, Dolphins, Colts.
Absolutely. So Neptune is also the patron of horses, and you're absolutely right. And Neptune's other symbol is the dolphin. So here's Neptune, god of the sea. Symbol, horse. Trident, dolphin. You're absolutely correct. The Miami Dolphins, and then Colts. You can also put in the Denver Broncos, and the trident. And the trident is
Well, that brings me back to this then, because obviously the other version is Poseidon, and Poseidon equals 97. This was the number that kept coming up. So you have that because 97 was, remember I told you Dolphins equals 97. And Daniel Jones was born 97 days before the Dolphins and Colts played. And then, so Poseidon, the obviously the other form of Neptune is 97 as well. And I know, Rambo, you've showed a lot of times how the trident is on the World Trade Center building.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I could. Let me see.
Oh, and I got to tell you this too. Those two Ahmads that we just measured from, the Sauce Gardner and this guy the soccer player you just brought up. Guess how many weeks they're born apart?
So this is the football player and the soccer player. The football player and
the one you just brought up. Yeah, the one that just got traded today to the Colts, and the one that the soccer player you just brought up. They're born exactly 97 weeks apart.
Yeah, it's all about. It looks like it's all but if you have to go back to okay, where are they? Oh, here you are. You can see the tridents here. See the tridents?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting too about the 97 really quick is that shout out D Zerda, right? September is the 9th month. 7th, it could be like a September 7th or 97. It reminds me of Boston, which was founded on September 7th, 97. And that matters because it makes me think of Larry Bird, Mr. Celtic, who was born on Pearl Harbor Day. Bird, kind of like it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good image of the tridents.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a big Neptune thing that I kind of didn't catch on to until just now, because knowing that all this the 97 is connected, and 97 is the 25th prime. So that's definitely interesting. And then again, remember another interesting thing about the Colts, which actually might explain. Actually, it explains this now. I was wondering this exact thing. Every time the Colts have been in a Super Bowl, every time, where have they played? Where has the Super Bowl taken place? In Miami, where the Dolphins play. The Colts have never gone to a Super Bowl that's not been in Miami. And this year, they beat Miami in the first game of the season, like I said, on 9/7, which was the blood moon. And then that was the debut of the quarterback, born in 97, Daniel Jones, who was born 97 days before the Dolphins played and the Colts played in 97. Like it's so clear.
Miami kind of makes me think of MIA or Mia, kind of like what Rambo's been talking about with Bad Bunny's Mia. So that, I don't know, there could be a connection there too.
It is absolutely. And also, so one thing I said about Mia is Arabic, and we're talking about an Arabic theme now. KODI brought an Arabic theme. Well, Mia in Arabic means 100. And Bad Bunny, I'm surprised the mainstream media is not talking about this. They're not talking about the fact that Bad Bunny has been in a Super Bowl halftime. I found out by just analyzing the video for Mia. Mia is the hit song that launched Bad Bunny's career. It's his first top 10. And he had Drake on it. And my prediction for the halftime show had been Drake. That was my prediction. I thought Drake would be. Well, I think my prediction is correct. I mean, okay, so he was not the headline artist, but Drake will be there. He will be at the Super Bowl, so I'll take that as a correct prediction. But Drake is on the song Mia by Bad Bunny, and so Mia means 100 in Arabic. The Bad Bunny was at Super Bowl 54 halftime show. He performed with Shakira. That Super Bowl halftime show was almost entirely in Spanish. There's a Spanish theme. Everybody forgets that halftime show. No one even remembers it because no big deal with me. So this is divide and conquer like nonsense. I mean, it's all ritual stuff. Now it's a big deal when it's already happened. There's already been a Spanish halftime show and everybody forgets it was no big deal. Everybody just went on with their life. But that was the 100th NFL season. In fact, in the middle of the field at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami was a giant number 100 in the middle of the field for that Super Bowl. And 100 in Arabic is Mia. Now, there's also the artist called Mia, M-I-A, who performed at the 2012 halftime show. And her claim to fame was that she flipped the bird at the camera during her Super Bowl halftime show, Mia. And her big hit was Paper Planes. And I talked about her video a little bit.
Yeah.
Mia is a big thing. So Mia is going to be performed at the Super Bowl. How can it not be?
And for the record, Rambo, really quick, I was going to say that the music video for Mia, I think you mentioned this last week. The music video, I just confirmed it was filmed, so they tell us, in Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
As well. So tying it back to Miami, Mia, MIA, right?
So there is an Arabic influence, and the one Arabic presence in the NFL is the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, which is Robert Saleh. Or Saleh, I don't know, Saleh.
He used to coach the Jets, right?
Yes, and he was the first Muslim head coach. And even if you don't, now if you just look at Wikipedia, their page on Robert Saleh, they mentioned 9/11. Like, here, let me look. I'm not even sure how to spell his name, but
who? Robert Saleh?
Saleh. Okay,
it's Saleh, I believe.
I mean, isn't that perfect though, considering everything that just happened today? And then I've totally forgot about him being the coach of the Jets. And
so they mentioned 9/11. Look at this early life. So he was born like 131. That's the Back to the Future number. That's the number of the locomotive that goes to San Francisco. The locomotive number 131 in Back to the Future.
Yep.
The final destination is San Francisco.
Well, that's one day after.
That's one day after Dick Cheney too. Dick Cheney's born on the 30th.
Yeah, but this had like this has Super Bowl implications. The 131, and who
Right.
gets
Yeah.
who buys a one-way ticket to San Francisco? Clara in Back to the Future. Clara buys the one-way ticket on the locomotive number 131, and the Super Bowl will be held in Santa Clara, and Super Bowl 60, the upcoming Super Bowl, will be held on the birthday of the actress who plays Clara in Santa Clara. And she bought a one-way ticket to San Francisco on locomotive 131. But so this is Robert Saleh. This is what they put in his bio. Born to Lebanese immigrants in Dearborn, Michigan, Saleh is a 1997 graduate of Fordson High School. He attended Northern Michigan University in Marquette from 1997 to 2001, earning a degree in finance. Saleh was a four-year starter from the Wildcats, earning confidence. Okay, Saleh's brother, David. And who's David? David is the father of King Solomon. That it all goes back to that. David is the father. King David is the father of King Solomon. Salah's brother David, and Islam does acknowledge King Solomon as well, because Suleiman. Suleiman is the Arabic version of Solomon. Salah's brother David was in the South Tower during the September 11th attack in New York City in 2001 and saw the fireball from the initial plane's impact on the North Tower from the building's 64th floor. And it says here he escaped because they told everybody to stay, and he just ignored and left, and then his brother survived. And they say that David safely made it to the lobby and was able to escape safely. Salah credits this event in providing the spark for him to pursue his dreams of coaching football. So they are tying him directly to September 11th.
Reminds me of the girl.
Go ahead.
Reminds me of the girl in wrestling right now. There's a girl, a woman in wrestling right now, who just teamed up with Aleister Black. He's real symbolic. I mean, you should see him. But she's his wife. Her name's Selena Vega, and she has this type of story with her father dying in the September 11th. If you look up her story, her father actually died in September 11th attacks. And now she's just taken on this dark role recently with her husband, Aleister Black. And so I think probably another connection there with that. But it just reminds me of that. So it's Zelina, like with a Z, like Z-E. Yeah, there you go. Yep, it's the second one there. So somewhere there it probably talks about it.
Yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen the story before.
Oh.
The 104th floor of the North Tower.
Yep.
Her
dad, Michael.
Angel Trinidad was killed in the September 11th attacks. He had worked as a telecom analyst for Cantor Fitzgerald at the World Trade Center. He was on the 104th floor of the North Tower when it collapsed.
That definitely reminds me of the similar thing. And I think that's why she's kind of gotten prominent again recently. So
says she was featured in an NBC special titled Children of 9/11 on September 5th. She was growing up. She also worked as a counselor on a camp for children that had lost parents on 9/11.
I didn't know that part.
So some people are very they're in their bios very attached to that. But I think for me personally, I'm not a sports big channel. I wouldn't advise anyone to bet money based on what I say. But for me, 49ers are my pick for the NFC. Yeah, especially with the Salah thing and the Mia. Ever since Bad Bunny was announced, I started connecting other dots. For me, it's the 49ers. That's just my guess. And they have the 131, the Back to the Future thing with all the ties that Back to the Future has, and Back to the Future already predicted who would be in the Super Bowl in San Francisco the first time it was held there. Santa Clara, the clothes are all over her. Back to the Future predicted who would be in there. The Panthers, the two Panthers on the clock tower, back-to-back Panthers. Also predicted the Stanley Cup, back-to-back Panthers. And then the Denver Bronco clock right in the opening credits. Very hard to see, but I just noticed it, and then I looked it up, and the Denver Broncos actually contacted Back to the Future and said, "Is Doc Brown secretly a Bronco fan?" Of course, the Broncos didn't really answer. But with that, so they had the Broncos there. They had the Miller truck when Marty McFly first arrives in 1955. There's a huge Miller truck product placement just glaring at you. Well, they were telling you who was going to be MVP. It was Von Miller, who has the same birthday as Biff Tannen, which is March 26th, 326. And I believe the Super Bowl will leave 326 days. The next Super Bowl will leave 326 days in the year. That's Biff Tannen's birthday. Biff Tannen will be 88 years old. Donald Trump is Biff Tannen. So Back to the Future already predicted a Santa Clara Super Bowl. Who would be in it and who would win? Because the MVP is going to come from the winning team. It was Von Miller. Now, something like the Miller thing, now you can't predict that. I can see maybe getting the Broncos. I mean, stuff like it's hard to see all this beforehand.
Right.
The Miller thing, okay, that one would have been really tough to see the Miller and say, "Ooh, Von Miller," and look at his birthday. He has the same birthday as Biff Tannen, but nonetheless, Back to the Future has already predicted a Santa Clara, California Super Bowl, and now we have another one. Will Back to the Future predict that? But he has that locomotive number, the 131, the number on the locomotive. So for me, and I think the Arabic connection is important here, especially with Mia, with the significance of Mia and the Bad Bunny. So yeah, this is my pick for the NFC. So 40, and there's other stuff too. Christian McCaffrey, I feel, is very significant. I feel he's meant to win a Super Bowl, and time's running on us. He's already old for a running back to be in his prime. He doesn't have many prime years. I just feel that Christian McCaffrey is kind of meant. He's already in a Super Bowl. I suspect he's supposed to win one. I don't know. But yeah, this is my pick based on this and other things.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear that, because I know that the last time, like we were talking about the Lions with the Lion thing, and then like how that team, the Lions, had that upset 131 days before.
Oh yeah.
So I'm assuming you must have seen enough to for the 49ers to make that, like, because I mean I've seen a lot for the Lions, but like I said, I would not be surprised if the 49ers made it because of all the San Francisco connections with that, and you know, like this guy having that, I didn't know about him having that birthday. I'll have to look more into the 49ers. So
yeah, I mean the Lions are so strong. Colts Lions are so strong, especially because Alice in Wonderland is such a huge connection. Now with Bad Bunny being connected, and he's the March Hare. He's not the White Rabbit. He's the March Hare. The March Hare is depicted with straw on his head. Bad Bunny was announced by the NFL, the official video announcing Bad Bunny as the Super Bowl halftime performer. He was wearing a traditional Puerto Rican straw hat. It's called a pava. It's a straw hat. The March Hare wears straw on his head, and Bad Bunny was born in March. He's the March Hare, whose best friend is the Mad Hatter, and the Mad Hatter, the number 106, is the number on Alice in Wonderland. It's on the Mad Hatter's hat, and the NFL already did a Mad Hatter Day, October 6th tribute, when they had a quarterback whose birthday is on Mad Hatter Day, 10-6, which is Trevor Lawrence. They had him win on Mad Hatter Day, and they did the tribute. I did a video predicting there'd be a score tribute. I thought the score might be 10-6. I didn't say what the score would be. I said, I think they're going to do a tribute in the score, and they did. The halftime score was 14-7 Chiefs. 147 in the simplest cipher is the gematria of Lewis Carroll. The NFL is very conscious of Alice in Wonderland. And so that's what changed things for me. I'm not just looking at Back to the Future, and they have the time thing in common. And 60, I think it was Super Bowl 60. 60 is a time number, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. 60 is a time reference. The Mad Hatter murdered time, and the Tea Party that he's in is stuck at 6 p.m. So the Mad Hatter thing is what, and seeing the NFL do a Mad Hatter Day tribute, to me, like, okay, I've got to take Alice in Wonderland into account. And that actually still lines up. I remember I told you last time with Colts and Lions, because in Through the Looking Glass, which is the sequel to Alice in Wonderland, the Mad Hatter, he has to give commentary on a fight between a unicorn and a lion. You brought up that picture. There was so he is this white horse and a lion fighting, and there's the Mad Hatter with 106 on his hat, kind of watching the fight, and it's the 106 NFL season. So that's still. So I just look at different things. So that is still absolutely, even going with Alice in Wonderland, there is still strong imagery for Colts Lions.
Yeah, and like I said, that imagery comes from also the Scottish and English, crest with on the thing. That's their thing, with the unicorn being the symbol of Scotland, and the lion being a symbol of England, and the uniting of the kingdoms. And that's why Lewis Carroll. Well, that's probably why Lewis Carroll put it in there, but it's probably also why C.S. Lewis also put that lion and unicorn in his Chronicles of Narnia. So both these Lewises, they had this theme of lions and unicorns because they and even if you read the Wikipedia page of why C.S. Lewis put the unicorn at the end of the Chronicles of Narnia, is because of that, because of the Scotland and English symbolism. So, and with all the King Charles stuff going on, I feel like it's very, very possible that the Super Bowl will be heavily influenced by something with England, Scotland. And even in wrestling right now, there's the Cody Rhodes, who I've said he is a symbol of King Charles. He is literally there to represent King Charles on the world stage. And I've showed that many ways and many different ways, but he's been recently fighting against the Scottish warrior, Drew McIntyre. Like, they've been going back and forth now for months. So you have this King Charles England thing, and then you have this guy from Scotland, Drew McIntyre, and they're both born in '85. That's what's interesting, is I told you, like, all the WWE stars right now are born in '85. In fact, even that Aleister Black, that Thea, or that Selena Vega, her husband that I was telling you about, Aleister Black, he's born in '85. So, like, all the characters right now that are prominent, they keep being born in 1985. And then we find out that, and what I'm really trying to figure out right now is, how is John Cena's retirement match? John Cena, there's going to be something with John Cena that's going to tell us the Super Bowl. I know it, because his whole thing is huge right now. I mean, the whole World Series was connected to John Cena, as I showed in my video like 2 days ago. It was like 42 days. That's why Capital One was the sponsor for the World Series, because Capital One Arena is where John Cena's retirement match is going to be. And then that same night, CM Punk, who's born on Back to the Future travel date, right? CM Punk from Chicago. He's born 10/26. CM Punk is the arch rival of Cena. He wins the title that night on Saturday night's main event, when the Dodgers win the World Series. He beats Jey Uso. Remember, I think I was even telling you guys about this before it happened. Jey Uso was supposed to face CM Punk, and Jey represented the Blue Jays, and CM Punk was the Dodgers. Well, the match between Jey Uso and CM Punk was over before the Dodgers ended up coming back and winning. And as soon as I saw that Jey lost in heartbreak, I knew that the Dodgers were going to come. Like, I just knew it. The Dodgers were going to come back and win. And that's what happened. And then that was 42 days before Cena's retirement match on the same show. So they're having a Saturday night main events like every couple months. And Saturday night main events goes all the way back years, but they started doing it again recently. But yeah, so Saturday night main event it was 42 days from when CM Punk won and the Dodgers won to Cena's retirement match. And in Gematria, Capital One equals 42, like Saturday night's main event. And then the Commanders are the football team in Washington. Commanders equals 42. So there was a lot of 42s, and it's the 42nd Saturday night's main event where Cena's going to be having his final match. So that's what I'm still trying to figure out. Just going back to what we were saying with the Super Bowl, how is John Cena going to be? There's going to be a tie, and that's why I think the Jones thing is interesting. And what you mentioned, Rambo, is for the 49ers. You know who the starting quarterback has been all year, pretty much, for the 49ers, has been Jones. Mac Jones.
Mac Jones, yeah.
And that's why I think Daniel Jones and Mac Jones, because they were both quarterbacks that everyone thought were just washed up and never going to be good, right? Both of them have the same kind of. Mac Jones was the Patriot, and he sucked for me his first years. Same with Daniel Jones. He was with the Giants. He sucked. Everyone thought they were just never going to be anything. And now this year, all of a sudden, here they are, both the Joneses. Now Jones means John. So that's why I think that's how it connects. Jones is John. So that's the John Cena thing. And so and 49ers play the Colts on December 22nd. So that is a game to watch to see maybe what happens with that. Of course, we have this one on November 9th coming first. That's really important to watch. But I was wondering that too, how many days, or I need to look at that again, how many days that is before the Super Bowl.
You know what's interesting too, Cody, is Harrison Ford, right, who played Indiana
Right.
Jones. He's currently 83 years old, and he'll be 83 throughout this whole season, which is a big football number,
Right.
and also
Yeah.
a fatal number too. But you know that would be fitting with a lot of this Indiana Jones stuff we've been talking about recently.
Yeah. Also,
Just wanted to add that.
he has that 7/13 birthday, as we've mentioned, which was Trump's
Assassination date.
yeah. So that's interesting. And look at this. So the Colts and the 49ers December 22nd is actually, it's a primetime game. So it's not just only them playing, it's the Monday Night Football game. And guess how many days it is before the Super Bowl? 49. Like the 49ers. Wow. So there you go.
That could be a Super Bowl preview. It could be.
Yeah.
Remember what you were saying, how the team that
if
they play each other in the regular season, it tends to reverse in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's a potential Super Bowl preview.
I'm wondering now a bit because of that. That 49 days before that, on a primetime game, 49 days before the Super Bowl in the home stadium of the 49ers are playing the Colts, with both Joneses going to be involved. Well, I doubt Mac Jones will be playing then. I think Brock Purdy's supposed to come back. Which is also interesting. Brock and Jones, that's another WWE connection, because Jones is John, and you have Brock. Well, early this year, John, during Cena's retirement tour, he's having all these matches. He faced his other arch rival that always beats him. And it's a very famous wrestler and MMA fighter, Brock Lesnar, the Beast, Brock Lesnar. And Brock and John Cena, Brock always decimates John Cena. In fact, that's what happened. Brock just destroyed John Cena in like a couple minutes. Like, they always do this symbolically. The Beast always destroys John. So you have Brock and Jones as the quarterbacks for the 49ers. You have Brock Lesnar, John Cena. So that's I'm just giving these kind of things I've seen, because we're kind of tracking this every week, I think. So
I also see synchronicity in the white horse symbolism. Now, there's a very famous horse in history. So remember William Shakespeare's Richard III play. It's about King Richard III, who was the last king of England from the House of York. And the famous line from Richard III by Shakespeare is, a horse, my kingdom for a horse. And that's about the fatal battle for King Richard in the House of York. It's the Battle of Bosworth Field, where Richard III was unhorsed. And the name of his horse was Wall. It's a strange name for a horse, but very famously, he had a horse named Wall, and he was knocked off of Wall during the Battle of Bosworth Field. I don't know if the account is accurate. He once you're dehorsed, you're just not going to make it. But he took a few people out on his way out. But that was the final defeat of the House of York to the House of Lancaster. And it ended the famous, again, and this is a Civil War theme that's going on, especially with Donald Trump. He's just if ever there's been a symbol of division, Trump is it. So he's all about stoking civil war. You had the so-called Capitol insurrection. And so he's trying to start a civil war now with... it's no big deal. We had it before. We had a Spanish language halftime show, but now we need to stoke division and say and try to offend as many people as possible and say that a Puerto Rican is not a real American, stuff like this. It's obvious, desperately trying to get people to divide and hate each other and stuff. So you're getting the Civil War theme. Well, the British Civil War, which is one of the biggest civil wars in history, was between the House of York and the House of Lancaster, and they just went back and forth. They went back and forth. But the final battle of the War of the Roses, because the House of York had the white rose, the House of Lancaster had the red rose. That's why they called it as their symbol. That's why it was called the War of the Roses. Well, Richard III was knocked off of his horse named Wall at the Battle of Bosworth Field, that's when the House of Lancaster won, and once Richard III went, so he lost to Henry VII. He led the House of Lancaster. Now so you mentioned 22. You mentioned the 49ers are playing the Colts on the 22nd. I'd already identified 22 as a number of interest. The Battle of Bosworth Field was on August 22nd. Now, it was won by the forces of King Henry VII. Who is King Henry in the NFL? Well, number 22 of the Baltimore Ravens, Derrick Henry. He wears number 22, and he's King Henry. King Henry actually defeated King Richard on the 22nd of August. I don't think the Ravens are out of it. In fact, now they're an underdog. And I probably might not even have time to get to my decode, but there's a whole underdog theme that's been really strong. This underdog thing is really, and the Ravens would have been a favorite had everything been normal, but for them to go down to 1-5 in a very winnable division, and now Lamar Jackson's back, I don't think the Ravens are out of it. And now they're an underdog. So I have another thing. There's so many different themes to look at. For me, the underdog theme yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to say that too. I wanted to echo that because I noticed that I think it's definitely something we still can't count the Ravens out until it's the bird sings, I guess. The fat lady sings, whatever you want to say. Because I think that the Lamar Jackson, I think at some point he gets to a Super Bowl. And I think the same thing with Josh Allen. I think those two guys, I just can't count them out until they're out of it, because both those guys are faces of the league, best quarterbacks in the league, and they haven't been to a Super Bowl yet. So Josh Allen, the whole thing with Jamaica and the hurricane this past week, it had a lot of ties to Josh Allen. It was interesting. So that's why I also haven't counted out the Bills yet. I mean, my top ones there's different options, of course, but the Bills and Ravens are still highly in my view.
Yeah, so King Henry, to me, is huge. I actually thought they'd get there last year. I seem to pick the Ravens every year, but I see Ravens close, and the Ravens tie really heavily to Back to the Future. Remember I talked about 326, Biff Tannen's birthday, and how Von Miller was born on 326, and how the Miller truck was shown in Back to the Future. It's kind of predicted. And then this Super Bowl will be held on a date with at least 326 days in the year. Remember that Back to the Future ends with the bridge out. There's no bridge. It's being constructed, but it ends with the DeLorean going over an incomplete bridge. But where was a bridge collapse? Where was the bridge out? In Baltimore. And what was the date? It was 326. On March 26th, the bridge collapsed in Baltimore. And that's heavy Back to the Future symbolism. The bridge is out on 326 on Biff Tannen's. And also...
That's a good one.
Yeah, and Clara, with how she's connected, it'll be the actress who played Clara when the Super Bowl is held in Santa Clara. It'll be on her birthday. It'll be her 73rd birthday. Well, she hangs upside down just before that train goes off the bridge. Again, the bridge collapsed in Baltimore. She was hanging upside down. That's the Hanged Man. And she's wearing purple. She's wearing Ravens colors. And the Hanged Man can also be Odin, the Norse god Odin, who he hung himself for sacrifice for higher knowledge on the tree of Yggdrasil. And so in the Hanged Man in the tarot, there's some tarot decks that use Odin for the Hanged Man. Well, Clara did the Hanged Man wearing purple on the side of the locomotive, number 131. And the bird of Odin is the raven. I mean, I see, and then there's also 326 is Nancy Pelosi's birthday, and she's a major San Francisco politician. She was born in Baltimore. Those Ravens clues are really heavy, but my thing is the underdog thing that I've been on. The Ravens are now underdogs. How are they become underdogs? They're always one of the top favorites. Well, now they have underdog status. and they could do it through the underdog theme. But going along the lines of Richard III, King Henry, again, he won the battle on the 22nd. Derek Henry, King Henry wears 22. See all the king symbolism? There's also King Richard III, the House of York. The San Francisco 49ers are owned by the York family, and I think there's very little doubt that they have a bloodline to the House of York in England. I don't think there's any doubt. I don't think they just named York. They have the direct bloodline. In fact, they even own a team in the English Premier League, one of the teams with the richest history in English football. It's Leeds United from Yorkshire County in England. The York family owns the highest profile team, one of the highest profile teams in the history of English soccer, Leeds United in Yorkshire. So the 49ers owners are a direct line to Richard III, Richard of York. They are Yorks themselves. They probably are related to Richard III, the York family who owns the 49ers. To me, that's another strong 49er. And it goes back to the horse, because remember the famous line from Richard III in Shakespeare, a horse, my kingdom for a horse. So there's that horse symbolism. Yeah, that could work for the Colts. Could be Broncos too. Broncos are big and Back to the Future, and they're doing great. The horse could be.
Don't forget that the Colts are the former Baltimore team. So that's kind of what I've been wondering all year, is if the Colts have taken over for the Baltimore riddle in a way. And that would kind of be interesting, because like what you're saying with my kingdom for a horse, isn't that kind of what Robert Irsay did when he left the Baltimore in the middle of the night? He basically left his kingdom in Baltimore for Indianapolis, and it was a horse team. Kind of a similar narrative there, really, because that was a big like story back then when he just left. He picked up the team and left in the middle of the night. The Colts, and just left there, and that was on 3/27. So that was like one day after the. I mean, obviously it was many years before the bridge collapse, but that was 3/27 and 3/28. 19. What year was that? Can't remember. Is that 1984? I can't remember what year it was, but that's the year that they did that. And now you have Jim Irsay just died, the son of Robert Irsay. And then that's now why you have his daughters are now the owners. And this Carly Irsay Gordon is becoming famous because she's always down on the field. They're calling her like the most hands-on GM in the league, right? And she's like one of the only female. I don't know how many female owners there are in the league, but not many. So and it's her and her two sisters. So there's this divine feminine thing probably connected with the Colts as well. There's probably a feminine thing going on, and the Colts have yet to lose at home this year. That's another thing.
So yeah, the other two teams with an outright owners. There's some teams with multiple owners who own multiple shares, and there'll be a female, but outright female ownership. It's the New Orleans Saints and the Detroit Tigers. Lions. The Detroit Lions. That's Sheila Ford. And I've been talking about the Ford stuff. So if the feminine is part of it, that bodes well for the Lions.
Well, that might go with the Clara Clayton thing. She's like the main symbol of the Super Bowl this year, and kind of like one of the main parts of that. So that might have something to do with that.
I would say so, especially with the birthday is the same day as the Super Bowl in Santa Clara. I mean, that's crazy. Like that. That was one of the biggest airtight connection. Like that's a really good one.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest connections for the Super Bowl, in my opinion, if not the biggest one. That was one of the first ones we found this year. That was when RAMBO was already talking about Back to the Future, and then that's kind of what we found, and that's still like my number one thing for the Super Bowl is the Clara Clayton Same end of the line. The end of the line.
Actually, I'd like to give credit. I like to shout out Dennis Whitehead Jr. He called in. He called in the show. There's one time he called in. I have to shout him out. So he's the one who told me. I'll give credit. He went and looked at Back to the Future and watched it, and that's where he saw that Clara, when she bought the ticket, she asked the ticket attendant, booth attendant, "Where's the train going?" He said, "San Francisco Final Destination." And then he looked up the actress and her birthday. That was actually Dennis who told me that. So give credit to Dennis for adding that part. For me personally, that's where I got. Yeah, he added that. I don't know if he's listening. He did call in that one time, but I'll shout him out. He's the one who connected the Clara buying the ticket to Santa Clara for me and her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
But I find the 3 women owners, that trinity of women, that's really intriguing for me. Like esoterically, that's such a powerful image. We're talking about the Muhammad symbolism. The Prophet Muhammad, he came from a tribe, I don't know how to pronounce, Qurayshite tribe in Arabia. This is before Islam. So they had pre-Islamic spiritual beliefs. The community, the ethnic group that the Prophet Muhammad came from, this was before Islam. They had their chief deities was a trinity of females, a female trinity. And so you talk all the Muhammad stuff, that actually, so the female trinity ties directly to Muhammad. That's what the original spiritual belief was for his people in Arabia. His particularly ethnic group was a female trinity.
Can you, AJ? Can you pop up my screen so I can show people what so they can see what I mean here?
Definitely.
So this is what's been, she's been the main one. Like, see how she's on the field? She's always on the field, and she's right. I just feel like she's just standing there pretending to write things down, but like they're trying to make her look like she's just like this, she's always on the field taking notes. So I think, and then here's the 3 though. That's kind of the thing. And I was doing a little bit of reading on the horseshoe, and there are definitely some interesting things just in general about the horseshoe. Because the Colts had Andrew Luck, remember? And he abruptly retired after 7 seasons. And that's a big number. With the 7 is highly connected to the horseshoe and luck. And after that, the Colts became horrible, like for years. And then now this is the first year they've been good since. So there's definitely a whole tie-in with the horseshoe, which I won't get into. But yeah, since you mentioned that, Rambo, I thought I'd bring that up. And the three women who, some people in the chat are probably saying they're men, because we always have people in here saying that. So
if you switch to my, I'm gonna say if you switch to my screen, I'll show you what I was talking about. The female trinity. It says detailed analysis of pre-Islamic Arabian goddesses: Al-Lat, Al-Uzza, Al-Manat. That's the trinity. Let me see. Before the coming of Islam, the belief system in Arabian society was largely conformed to the worship of numerous deities, both male and female. This polytheistic society possessed a diverse theological composition, engaging in elaborate rituals and celebrations to honor their gods and goddesses. The 3 primary female deities, Al-Lat, Al-Uzza, and Al-Manat, dubbed as the daughters of Allah, performed significant roles within the societal buildup. Not only were they central to the spiritual life of the people, but they were also intrinsically woven into the societal framework, being deeply rooted in their culture, traditions, and daily dealings. So yeah, that's I think it's August 26th. What a date to publish that. You think that's a coincidence? On American Women's Equality Day, August 26th. We just talked about August 26th. What are the odds? The female
Perfect.
Trinity. And you're talking about the Muhammad is the theme and stuff. Well, this is so yeah, that makes this everything has these esoteric roots. Everything has these deep roots, and that's why I call them the truth codes. It's codes, the codes from archetypes. It's all based on the archetypes. Solomon's Temple, ancient mythology of around the world. This is those three females is very, very powerful figure.
Yeah, I definitely think that's part of the reason why. I mean, it's obvious why the Colts started out so good is because Jim Irsay died and then his daughters took over. It was like a reset for them. Like it was just like a look at her name though too. I didn't realize that. I think Carly Irsay Gordon has 193 like Solomon's Temple or something like that. But yeah, that's the main, that's the one that's always on the field. That's her name. But Carly is Charles. So that's why I've also been thinking, because think with all the Charlie and Charles stuff, right? The owner, the main owner, the one that's more prominent at least, her name's essentially Charlie. And her quarterback, whom she now has, is Daniel Jones from Charlotte, which is Charlie. This whole thing started, the whole NFL season started with this Charlie riddle, with the Charlotte stabbing, and then all the Charlie stuff that happened. So that's also why I'm really looking at the Colts just for the Charlie riddle. Like the owner and the quarterback have that connection to the Charlie.
I think there's a king theme in general as well. Yeah, the no kings thing, and just kings. It's all about kings. So Richard, okay, I'll talk about King Richard III. Well, who just died? Richard Cheney. There's some Richard stuff too.
Oh yeah, didn't even think about that. I keep thinking his name is Dick, but I keep forgetting that Dick is a short for Richard, which I never understood. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, if your name is Richard, why would you want to then be called Dick? Like that just makes no sense.
Well, you know, it
does like.
Sorry, before I forget, it made me think. Who hit the game-winning home run for the Dodgers? It was Will Smith, right? And Will Smith, right? He had a street named after him on 59th Street. we know the back end about 59, but because his Philadelphia Eagles just won Super Bowl 59. Now, fast forward later this year, Will Smith hits that game-winning home run. Oh shoot.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he was in the movie King Richard.
Yeah.
Right. So he was in that movie King Richard. So I don't know. That's about as far. I was right there. That was pretty much where I was getting at with that. But because I know that King Richard, right? Wasn't that when he slapped Chris Rock? Wasn't it that same?
That was the movie for which he was receiving an Oscar.
Yes.
Was for his portrayal of Richard Williams, the father of Venus and Serena Williams.
Mm-hmm.
That was, which I believe was MK Ultra. And I believe they have the spouse handler or the girlfriend or boyfriend handler who knows all the triggers. I think I know who had the triggers, and I think I know who's proven she's a sociopath who doesn't care about him, who's humiliated him in public before. In front of him on camera, bragging about how other men satisfied her sexually better than Will Smith. She's a sociopath. I believe that she is his handler, and she knew the trigger for that. There are all theories on that. Was he acting and this? No, I believe that was an MK Ultra trigger, because right after it happened, it's hard to tell with an actor, especially one that's as good as Will Smith. But I think he was genuinely he was shattered emotionally. I believe that, but because afterwards he knew what he's doing, but he wasn't in control because of MK Ultra. Mm-hmm. Beware that spouse handler, that person's always next to someone. That's what they like to do. Since we're on that topic, I just thought I'd put that up because this is such a big part of the Matrix we're in, mind control.
Oh, for sure.
Of various kinds. Yeah.
And this, I hate to keep going back to the Colts, but this I completely forgot. This whole thing is connected to the Richard in the with the Colts too, because look at who this was the big story at the beginning of the year. This is what surprised everyone, because the Colts drafted this young, elite, seemingly high potential quarterback, Richardson, a few years ago, and a couple years in, they realized that he's not really that good. He only had a few starts in college, and then so they brought in Daniel Jones on a 1-year contract to fight for the job, making it seem like it was a competition. But in the end, it came out that it really wasn't a competition, that they always planned to go with Daniel Jones. But as soon as the Colts announced Daniel Jones had won the starting job over Richardson, all the Colts fans got pissed, because they're like, why are you not going with the young could be star quarterback Richardson? And then, yeah, Daniel Jones ends up being a star quarterback, and Richardson ends up then get this story. So Jones ends up going on to becoming the star quarterback for the season, and Richardson breaks his orbital bone with a resistance band in training. And now he's out for like many weeks. So apparently he was training in the gym, and he was using a resistance band, and he broke his orbital bone. Like, what kind of story is that? Like, so yeah, Richardson's out, Jones is in. That's kind of the
okay. Yeah, that ties
Richardson.
in, yeah, that ties in with the horse.
Orbital bone. Just want to see if this was the story. Yeah, Anthony Richardson fractured orbital bone in warm-ups. And then what's actually crazy about that is their third-string quarterback, who's now their backup, he was drafted this year, and guess what his name is? Leonard, like Leo the Lion. So you got that, kind of reminds me of Leo the Pope, like, and he was from Notre Dame. So this guy was from Notre Dame, like Leo the new Pope is the new Pope, and Notre Dame obviously connected to Catholic. So,
and that green and yellow.
Some interesting things. Yeah, the green and yellow. That's right.
Yeah, I have a little bit more
Absolutely.
on that. I can't do my whole thing, but if you want, I can talk a little bit about the green and yellow.
Yeah, Rambo, please.
Yeah, I think we should.
So yeah, I'll have to change. It's a different screen than the one I have up now.
That's okay.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yep, we're good.
All right, so I talked. I probably won't do this whole decode. So I've been talking about green and yellow and its manifestation in sporting upsets, especially recently. But it actually goes back further. But I've been talking about it on this show, but I haven't put out a decode. But since it keeps happening, and it happened again, and I'm looking back and thinking, oh, there's another time it happened again this year as well. There's something going on right now this year, 2025, especially with this green and yellow and its correlation with upsets. And the important thing about green and yellow, which makes it significant, is that very few teams wear green and yellow. It's a rare color. So if multiple teams wore it, you know, that you can always pick and choose and say, you know, it's not a real legitimate pattern. And sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. You'd be cherry picking. No, it's the fact that it's such a rare color. Only one baseball team, MLB team, wears it. Only one NFL team wears it. Nobody in the NBA wears it. In soccer, the number one league in the world, most popular league in the world, it's the English Premier League, the number one sports league in the world. Nobody wears green and yellow. There's an occulted green and yellow. Manchester United used to wear green and yellow, and they were involved in the upset. But it happened again. So I'm going to release. I'm going to go in depth now on this thing because it's a thing, and I think it's really going to manifest in the upcoming World Cup, as well as before that. I mean, so it depends. So green and yellow, these are major upsets. I mean, from week to week, yes, most games somebody will be the favorite, but so underdog doesn't mean. I mean, it's only rarely are the odds even. So I don't mean somebody who's a slight underdog. we're talking about major upsets and major underdogs. One of the teams will be wearing green and yellow. It could be the favorite who loses, who is wearing green and yellow, or it could be the underdog who's wearing green and yellow. But when you see green and yellow and long odds, a big favorite and an underdog, if one of them is wearing green and yellow, there's a very good chance. And more and more examples just keep continuing. Even I'm astonished every time we've talked about it. So we've talked about it before. Last week I talked about it because the following Thursday, the Thursday previous to last week's show, there's a huge upset in soccer, in European soccer, where a team from the small island of Cyprus, who wears green and yellow, I don't even remember their name. Nobody knows their name. No disrespect. Nobody knows their name. Like, people who know soccer, they can't remember their name, but they wore green and yellow. They went to London and beat Crystal Palace, a top 10 Premier League team, FA Cup champions. No team from Cyprus had ever in history won a game in England. So these are the kind of upsets I'm talking about. And that was last week. Well, now we're here this week, this Tuesday, and it happened again. So I'm showing this headline from Sports Illustrated on the Carolina Panthers page, just to give an illustration of the level of upset, the degree to which the Carolina Panthers were underdogs. Now they're playing the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers wear green and yellow. This is the headline. Carolina Panthers get humiliating opening odds for week 9 game against the Packers. So what they're saying is the odds makers, the bookies, they're implying just had no respect for the Carolina Panthers winning at all. Green Bay were at home. The green and yellow Packers, one of the best teams in the NFL. The Packers are among the favorites to make it to the Super Bowl or even win it. They're among the favorites. They're an elite NFL team, and they're at home. And the Panthers are actually decent by their standards, better than they have been, but they're not expected to win. But they're saying the odds they gave were humiliating. Like, so if you're a Panther fan, like, this is ridiculous. So just to give you the degree of upset. Well, I mean, what do you think happened? Packers, Jordan Love stumbled in brutal loss to 13-point underdog Panthers. That's what happened. And that was this November 2nd. It was the green and yellow Packers. And I was astonished. I've been demonstrating this pattern, but I'm still astonished when it just keeps happening. It happened last week. Now I'm here again for this show, and it's happened again, and I'm just astonished. So,
well, yeah, Rambo, it's got to be at least our 3rd week, if not our 4th week in a row now. I mean, when you and I first talked about it, I mean, the Packers were in another upset earlier this year when they were playing against the Cleveland Browns. That was the first one. I would say that this one's even worse.
Yeah.
You know? And sorry, go ahead.
Well,
go ahead, Rambo. I was just going to rattle off the other few that just are top of mind with all the green and yellow upsets. South Florida, the Bulls, right? When they upset Miami with the big U.
The U is
the
big,
logo.
Yeah. The U is
right?
huge. Yeah.
But yeah, what was that, Cody?
I was just going to say, are we really surprised too that the team that did the upset was the Carolina Panthers from Charlotte? Carolina means Charles. Charlotte means Charles. And we just more Charles stuff I have to bring up because this I'll never be able to get rid of this theme now. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Also, the U is big. Okay, I'll talk about the U. Now that I think it's off the top of my head, Mamdani's an underdog. No one heard of Mamdani. The odds-on favorite to win, before the campaigns started, to win the mayoralty of New York City was Andrew Cuomo. He's a former New York State governor. He comes from, again, so much for some great American democracy and being independent of Britain and their undemocratic nobility and royalty. Well, we have royalty here. The Bushes are royalty, and so is the Cuomos, because his father was Mario Cuomo, former governor of New York. So he's New York elite royalty. And he was the governor because his father was the governor. And he was hands down the favorite to be mayor of New York City. No one's heard of him. Where did this guy come from? He's the underdog. The U is big. And he's from what are the 2 countries that Mamdani is citizen of? Uganda and the United States of America. Underdog. The U is for underdog. So the U is huge here. So yeah, it happened again. So what I'm going to do in this decode is I have to go. I'm going to release it as a decode, at least a written one. Maybe I'll do a video, but a written one. It's easier to scroll through a written decode than to scroll through a video. But this is important. This green and yellow thing. So I'm just going to go into the background of green and yellow, and I'll add on some other things which I haven't talked about yet from the past. And I'll say the underdog upset code revolves around multiple elements, but primarily the green and yellow color combination. And I explain, green and yellow could be the favorite or the underdog. Now, certain teams can't be the underdog. The Packers are too good to be an underdog. They can only get upset. Now, you mentioned that they lost to the Cleveland Browns, who are also a huge underdog. And I'll talk about that later. And what's the symbol of the Cleveland Browns? It's the dog. Those are the only two games that the Packers have lost this season, are the two upsets, because they're wearing the green and yellow. Jordan Love may get his Super Bowl. It doesn't seem like it'll be this year because this green and yellow upset thing is, if you wear green and yellow and you're a favorite, it just doesn't bode well for you. It just doesn't at this time for what's going on at the moment. I'll show some other examples. Unless unless the string gets broken, unless the trend gets broken. I think it's going to be big in the World Cup, and that doesn't bode well for Brazil. So green and yellow is very uncommon, like I said. So not that many teams wear it. And here's Jordan Love, the big hero quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. And so this also involves, we talk about underdog. Sirius, the Sacred Star Sirius can be this underdog. Sirius is called the dog star because it's from the constellation of Canis Major or Canis Majoris in Latin, which means the great dog. And here's a dog of Canis Major constellation. There's Sirius, the brightest star. And look what Sirius chases. It's the Lepus, the rabbit. Talk about Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl. Some relevant there. What if the Packers are in the Super Bowl? I don't know. And then they get upset. I don't know. But there's the bunny and Sirius. You got to consider everything. Now, when you talk about Sirius, someone who's always going to show up, not always, but often, is Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan is a symbol of Sirius, the dog star. And the reason is, when Michael Jordan was born on February 17th, 1963 at 1:40 p.m., time is very important to establish the ascendant. So this is actually the eastern horizon on a tropical zodiac set. It says ASC, that means ascendant. It's going, the wheel is turning this way, clockwise. And where it says ASC, that's actually the horizon. So anything below the ASC line is, you can't see, it's below Earth. And this is the horizon. Anything above this is what you see above the sky. So this wheel is turning. So when Michael Jordan was born, this was the ascendant. It's right, you see it right in the middle of the Cancer. This is the tropical zodiac, not the same as astronomy. And that's where Sirius is located. So 13 degrees Cancer, Michael Jordan's birth chart. From Astrology King, it tells you Sirius is at 14 degrees Cancer. That's in the tropical zodiac. So 13, 14, that's still a conjunction. That still tells you that's where Sirius was when Michael Jordan was born. And now you know why. The theme song for the Chicago Bulls during the Michael Jordan era, do they still use it? But it's famous.
They do, yeah.
Oh, they still use it. Okay, but it's Sirius. The song Sirius, an instrumental by the Alan Parsons Project, which is a very important name, the name of the group from England who performed the song Sirius. The Alan Parsons, AJ, you may know where I'm going with this. The Alan Parsons Project. Why am I stressing Parsons, the name of it? Who did the song Sirius, which is the dog star, talking about the underdog. Well, who did the Packers just a blockbuster trade for? Micah Parsons, the name of the group who performed Sirius, which is the dog star, the underdog. No wonder Green Bay keeps losing to the underdogs. You just signed Parsons. This is all on an esoteric level. And Parsons did the song Sirius, made famous by Michael Jordan, because he was born with Sirius Ascending. He's a Sirius symbol. But so Micah Parsons has already had an impact, just to illustrate how good he is. He was, for the month of October, this past month that just completed, he is the NFC Defensive Player of the Month for October. So Micah Parsons. But the name Parsons is significant, and there's the green and yellow underdog, Sirius the dog star, Sirius by the Alan Parsons Project. No wonder they've lost to 2 underdogs. Now, in 2024, the rapper Snoop Dogg came out with a movie. It was released on Amazon. It wasn't a box office movie. It was released to Amazon on video. It's called The Underdogs with GG, because that's how he spells his stage name, Snoop Dogg. But look at the colors on the cover of Underdogs. So the team wears yellow/gold.
That's wow, Rambo. That's wild.
Yeah, so this is a thing that's being. I just found this out like a few days ago. I didn't even see this last week. I didn't know any of this. There's so much.
Holy smokes! But when did this come out? January 26th this year.
2024.
24. Okay.
Yeah. So
Kobe's death date. Interesting.
Yeah. So this is about a youth. It's really like really bad, awful, like a Bad News Bears, like a hood football team version of the Bad News Bears. There's awful like youth football team, and he has to turn the team around. But look, they wear yellow, so why doesn't the coach wear the team colors? No, he wears green. Why does he wear green? Well, now we know the trend. We see why. For some reason, they go with the green and yellow and underdog. Pretty remarkable.
Well, and to that point, really quick, Rambo, I think I sent this to you about the movie The Big Green. Like, there's it's kind of a underground movie. KODI, I don't know if you remember that movie growing up, but it was with the same actor. I'm blanking on his name. He played a Ham Porter in The Sandlot, but he was in a movie called The Big Green, and it's about an underdog team, right? That's really shitty. And essentially they come back and like defeat the big bad team, kind of like the Little Giants, but for soccer. Yeah. But my point is that the cover of that movie, The Big Green, it looks just like this, but almost kind of reversed, because he, as the goalie, I think, is wearing yellow, but he's surrounded by green with the grass field.
Oh, wow, that's a great addition.
Yeah. With that underdog theme is my point. It's called The Big Green.
Yeah, but if it also has the green and yellow, then thanks. I mean, I'm going to add that to my decode. But yeah, that's a great addition.
Yeah.
But there you go again. But the underdog, green and yellow. This is from 2024, and just a yellow car. And January 26th is significant too. So I'll explain about Sirius the Dog Star. The significance of Sirius. So Sirius is a sacred star. Now, some members of the secret societies, the elite secret societies who dominate the matrix, some of them venerate Sirius. And it goes back to ancient Egypt and other cultures, but primarily ancient Egypt. They highly venerated and almost practically worshipped, you could say, the sacred star Sirius. Now, but they're not all monolithic. Like I said, there's those who are positive and those who are negative. And the negative ones like to infiltrate to use as cover. They don't want to admit that they're negative, so they infiltrate. And some of them actually don't like Sirius. They desecrate Sirius, and they'll do rituals against Sirius. So it's not accurate to say that the elites worship Sirius, which they got from Egypt. They don't all worship Sirius or venerate, at least, or exalt it or celebrate it. No, they also desecrate it. Some of them desecrate Sirius, and Sirius is associated with higher knowledge. That's where you get the term Sir, S-I-R, Sir. When you reach a high status, when you're knighted in the British system, you get the title Sir. That comes from Sirius and the British royal family. I've demonstrated how they venerate Sirius, how Queen Elizabeth had this big corgi lit up in the sky with drones on her 70th anniversary, and 70th of Sirius, because Sirius is hidden behind the sun for 70 days. On her 70th anniversary, they lit up the sky above Buckingham Palace with a corgi. That's obvious what they're referring to.
Yeah. And Rambo 2, there's also another movie. I mean, just talking about Sirius for a second, and the green and yellow, 2 other movies. One is Like Mike. I think I've told you about this movie. It was with Lil Bow Wow.
Oh, okay.
So Lil Bow Wow gets his hands on Michael Jordan's shoes, right? So like that right there, I don't think I need to say anymore.
Is there green and yellow in that one?
I technically, yes, where he goes up against Gary Payton and the Seattle Supersonics.
Oh, okay.
Right. There's just it's a short scene there, but
that's good. Yeah.
A ton of dog symbolism with that in that movie, with what I've noticed. That there's even a scene when Jesse Pinkman, he's in that movie. He is as one of the orphans, him and Snoop Dogg, right? They're one of the older orphans, and Jesse Pinkman. he ends up saying to Bow Wow, he goes, "Let's face it, we're like dogs. You know, parents only want the puppies," meaning, you know, the younger orphans have a better shot at getting adopted. But
Hey,
anyways, didn't want to get sidetracked on that. What's up, Cody?
AJ, I don't know if you can. I mean, you can pull up my screen real fast or not, or I can just tell you. Somebody left a comment that reminded me of this, and I was like, "Oh man, why didn't I think of that?" Growing up, my favorite movie, literally my favorite movie, was the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah. I was gonna pin that.
The Mighty Ducks literally have the same colors. I mean, it's. I mean,
yeah, no, exactly.
that
I was gonna pin that as well. Yeah, sorry, I already lost the comment, but shout out for whoever pointed that out. I have that jersey.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Goldberg.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So this is a great addition. So this is the depth of it. Yeah. So this is going to be a good long, because I didn't want to go in depth on this and release it now instead of just talking about it on this show, because it's really a thing now.
Yeah, definitely. So the Mighty Ducks, right? For sure. Got that
And
green and
what's
yellow.
funny about this is this jersey here is the one they wore when they were like really bad still, as they were getting better, you know.
In the first movie, yeah.
Yeah, but in the next movies they started with these, right? But at that point they really weren't like the underdogs really anymore. Like they had already had their championship. So people obviously they had their games where they were underdogs, but they were mostly not underdogs when they started wearing these other, which I think are the most iconic jerseys of all time and across any sport. Yeah. These are my favorite of all time. So, but yeah, I mean,
in other words, when they, in the whole trilogy of the movies, they were the most underdog like wearing the green and yellow in the first movie.
Exactly. That is how it is. That's how I know, because I watched these movies like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so that and like Mike, those are just the other two I wanted to throw your way.
Okay.
But yeah, let me get you back here.
101 is a number associated with Sirius, and I'd like to shout out Bobby Jones. Bobby Simpson. We're on the Jones thing. We're on the Jones. I can't get the Jones thing out. I'm sorry, Bobby Simpson. Casey Jones astrology. That's what it is.
Well, yeah, his name is Casey Jones. That's why you said that.
Yeah, that's his alias. Right. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, it's his fault.
Funny.
Casey Jones astrology, Bobby Simpson. He's the one who told me that 101 symbolizes Sirius. Huge addition. Like I connected so many dots with that one piece of knowledge. He has a lot of that stuff. So another thing too, this globe here looks a lot like the globe on the Brazilian flag. I find that interesting. So these are the pillars of Solomon of Freemasonry, and they usually have a blazing star in the middle. Well, the blazing star, the starburst, is Sirius, and these are the twin pillars. So the twin pillars are the constellation of Gemini in the sidereal zodiac. So in the tropical zodiac, Sirius is in Cancer, but in the sidereal zodiac, which more accurately reflects astronomy of the science, Sirius is at, I believe, 19 or degrees Gemini. I'm not sure about that, but it's in Gemini. And so the twin pillars can be Gemini, but this is a different zodiac system. Sirius, and so the pillars are ones, and Sirius is the 0. That's 101, which is a Sirius symbol. And that's why in the famous classic, you have 101 Dalmatians. Why did they pick 101 Dalmatians? Why not 100 Dalmatians? Why not some other number? It's a reference to Sirius because it's the blazing star between the twin pillars. That's what it is. So the 0 is the Sirius, and these are the twin pillars of Gemini. And in Greek, dog is Skylos, which sums to 101, transliterated. But if you take dog, Skylos, in the Greek alphabet, in Greek gematria, ordinal, it's 101 again. So you see how heavily coded 101 is with the dog and Sirius. 101.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really deeply embedded. And 101, as we know, is the 26th prime number, and the gematria for dog is 26. I wonder where Jordan Love was drafted. You know what pick of the draft? Wild guess, or the green and yellow? Well, we'll get to that. So Jordan is 26 and 62, and that's significant this year with all this underdog stuff happening now, as Michael Jordan turns 62 in 2025, which is the reflection of 26. So Jordan's important here.
When the plane flipped upside down.
Yeah, on runway 23 on his birthday, yeah.
While Drake was in the land down under.
And I'll talk about the land down under. Again, it's all about underdog. I'll talk about that. You want to guess when Australia Day is? Well, since we're here, let's jump ahead. When is Australia Day? When is Australian Independence Day? I'm going back here. I'll get to it later in the deek. Australian Independence Day is on. Oh god, I missed this. Now I'm completely lost. It's where's the Snoop thing? Australian Independence Day is actually January 26th. I'll get to that later in the decode.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll get to that.
The 26th, the day of the year, right? Speaking of 101, the 26th.
Think of 126. Think of first round, 26th pick. Yeah, I wonder who that was. So I got on this from this story here, which I've talked about at length. It's the Justice Department work. He worked for the Justice Department. How he threw a Subway sandwich at an ice option. Ice wears green and yellow. Subway wears green and yellow. It all started with that Subway. And the address of the Subway. And what's the Subway? It's underneath. Sub means under. It's all about under. The green and yellow Subway logo. So in ancient Egypt, the anthropomorphism of Sirius, the star, was the goddess Sopdet. And this was her hieroglyph. It's a pointed object, a pentagram, a semicircle, which looks like a dome, and an oval. But look at the colors of Sopdet. Wikipedia even points out that it's not just a random picture. Sopdet in green dress with star on her head. Her skin is yellow and her dress is green. And this is the hieroglyph for Sirius. The dog, and even says symbol, dog. So underdog, green and yellow. This goes back to ancient Egypt.
And look at the colors there too, like the green, the yellow, and like a bluish, darkish bluish. That's the colors of the Mighty Ducks. That's the three colors of the Mighty Ducks jersey. You know, that it's almost the same blue too.
I think a duck is related to a goose because they're similar. They're from the same family. In some ancient Egyptian mythology, now, which is pretty interesting because now science is saying that the universe was created with a big bang. In some ancient Egyptian mythology, they say that the universe was created by the sound of the honk of a goose. So there's this divine goose and the honk. We talk about the power of harmonics. You started talking about the harmonics and frequencies and sound frequencies, which I've talked about. Well, that actually goes into some of the ancient Egyptian creation mythology, where the thing sound created the universe, and it was the honk of a goose. So the duck and goose are related. So yeah, this is deep stuff. This goes back to so this is not just trivial, sports is trivial and cartoons and no. Look, this is how far back this goes. This is what the Matrix is run on. These archetypes. There he is, the green and yellow Sopdet. So the hieroglyph of Sopdet, which is she's Sirius, the dog, is very interesting. You have the pointed figure, like I said, the oval, the semicircle, and the pentagram. Well, that's all in Washington, D.C. That's all coded. Shows you how Sirius is coded into Washington, D.C. The pointed object is the Washington Monument. The pentagram is the Pentagon, and it's also the pentagram in the street pattern of Washington, D.C., with the White House is at the tip. There's a pentagram. These are all Sirius symbols. So all four of them together make the one hieroglyph. So you need all four. They're not separate. Then it's easy to guess what the semicircle dome is. Well, that's the Capitol dome. And then you have the oval. Well, that's self-explanatory. The Oval Office, but also the ellipse, which is to the south of the White House. All those symbols are in DC, symbols of Sirius and Sopdet, the dogs. So that's how important. So no wonder Michael Jordan ended his career in Washington, DC, because he's a Sirius symbol. So he had to play for the DC team, the Washington Wizards. I've talked about the letter U under U Street. That's where the whole Subway sandwich incident happened. It was at the intersection. So this is U Street, 14th Street Northwest. There's no coincidence they put a Subway on U Street. Think of the German, because sub means under. The German U-boats from World War I and II. They're German submarines. So you have a submarine sandwich store on U Street, the German U-boat. U means under. So AJ, I talked about land down under Australia. That's where Drake was on Michael Jordan's birthday this year, his 62nd birthday. And
Rambo, really quick, I just want to point out D. Zerda also mentioned that green and yellow is in the Islamic colors, as well as the 5-pointed star on her head.
I thought Islam was green and white, though.
I thought there was yellow in it.
Oh,
I thought there was. I could be wrong.
Maybe, but yeah,
I'm gonna take note of.
I've known the colors of Islam to be green and white, which is based on Venus. That's the color of Venus. The Prophet Muhammad, his daughter was named Zahra. Zahra means Venus.
Gotcha.
And Venus so the pentagram can be Sirius or Venus. So the pentagram actually puts things in common. And well, which country more than any really venerates the pentagram? There are pentagrams on many flags. The United States has 50 of them. And why? I mean, nobody venerates it more than this. 50 pentagrams. Wow. No one comes close. But why 50? Because Sirius is a binary star. It's Sirius A and Sirius B. Sirius B has a 50-year orbit around Sirius A. It's a number related to Sirius. A landmass the size of the United States, plus you're including Alaska and Hawaii. It could have been divided like into any number they wanted. They chose 50 because it's a Sirius number. Sirius B takes 50 years to complete one rotation around Sirius A. It's a 50 number, and the pentagram can be Sirius. So it brings up the cartoon dog Underdog. I have some other calculations with the actor who did the voice of Underdog is from the 1960s. Now, interesting, look at the colors of Underdog. He wears red, white, and blue. And there was a movie, an actual movie, Underdog. I think it was 2011 or something. I'll put that. I don't have it here, but in my Decode, I'll talk about that movie. And you know how the American motto is "One Nation Under God"? Well, for the movie, the caption was, well, the subheading was "One Nation Under Dog." That's a reference to the United States. Now, there are some elements of the secret societies that run the world and the United States who don't like Sirius. So they don't all agree. Some venerate Sirius, and some actually desecrate and are threatened by and want to destroy and, I guess, block the energy of Sirius. The secret societies are not all on the same page. It's the darker forces who don't like Sirius. And so there have been desecration of Sirius. Anthony Fauci did a Sirius desecration ritual, went on. It was on July 23rd, which is in Freemasonry. They honor the heliacal rising of Sirius on July 23rd. Anthony Fauci, the story came out that he's been torturing beagles. He had been promoting experiments which were extremely cruel and painful for beagles. And that story came out on the 23rd of July. That was a Sirius desecration ritual. Anthony Fauci is part of that for the dark elite. If you're going to participate, anti-Sirius. So just to be clear, they don't all venerate Sirius. The secret societies are not monolithic. There's some dark forces that have infiltrated as well. So you can never paint with a broad brush, and everything's nuanced. But there's Underdog with the U Street, with a subway. Subway means under, sub. And we're seeing these big Underdog themes going on this year. Now, remember, Michael Jordan is 62 years old this year. Jordan sums to 62 in Gematria. How many episodes do you think there were of Underdog? There were 62 total episodes of Underdog. So, you know, how appropriate for all this Underdog stuff to be happening now while Michael Jordan is 62. Michael Jordan, who was born with the Dog Star ascending on the eastern horizon when he was born. Now, the U, well, that's Jordan Love, Green Bay Packers quarterback. This gigantic U, he played for Utah State. I was on Utah from the beginning when that story came out of the sandwich thrower, the Subway sandwich thrower. I was on the U from then, and I talked about Utah State. Well, that's Jordan Love's of the green and yellow Green Bay Packers, Utah. Now we see how that's exploited with the Charlie Kirk. Well, I was already on that. So I brought up the 126. Remember, Australia Day 126, Land Down Under. I talked about the Snoop Dogg, the Underdogs movie coming out on 126. Jordan Love was drafted first round, 26th pick, 126. He fits in on so many levels. And like I said, the Underdogs released on January 26th in Australia Day. So that's what I talked about. Australia Day is 126. Well, Australia is the land down under. So the emphasis there is under for Australia. Now, there's an interesting thing about with Australia when it comes to sports. The flag of Australia is red, white, and blue. but their sports teams don't wear red, white, and blue. Most countries, their sports teams will wear the color of their flag. There are notable exceptions with several countries. Australia is a very notable exception. All the sports teams, all of them that represent, national sports teams for Australia wear green and yellow. They don't wear red, white, and blue. They wear green.
I'm really glad you're touching on that, because that's always been weird to me. It's like, what in the heck are they wearing? Why are they wearing green and yellow? It's the farthest off you can get from red, white, and blue. So it's like a whole different color spectrum to just randomly be wearing. But it makes sense now.
So they do explain why they were. It has to do with some. It has to do with the. I guess the. We call it the natural vegetation. Of course, Australia, they have really everything unique. They're unique animals you don't see anywhere else, and unique vegetation you don't see anywhere the rest of the world. And there's some species of plants native to Australia, which they see as national symbols. It's actually based on the vegetation of Australia. I actually showed a headline. It says, "Why does Australia wear gold and green?" And they actually, you try to look it up. There are different explanations, but it has to do with this. But you see how it has to do with the there's some native plants and to Australia, which are just unique to Australia, and they use those as national symbols, and so all their sports teams are green and yellow, but they're from the land down under. Now there's some sports where Australia is not an underdog, like rugby. Australia will never be an underdog in rugby. But one sport where they are an underdog is soccer, and they have qualified for the World Cup. And Australia might pull off an upset, and they're not good enough to get to the second round. You can't pull off that many upsets to reach the second round, but I think they'll pull off one. Just because this is such a trend. It just happened again. I'm astonished. That's why I'm even doing this again. And so they're in the World Cup, and they will be underdogs in soccer. In other sports, they're not. In soccer, they are huge underdogs. They're not good enough to reach the second round, but they can pull off an upset in one game, which I think they will. And they're not the only. South Africa wears green and yellow. They're at the World Cup. But the big green and yellow at the World Cup is Brazil and their favorites. We'll see. I'm interested to see how the brackets come out, to see who will face Brazil potentially in the knockout phase, because I think Brazil will be knocked out by an underdog. I'm just interested in how the brackets are, and I suspect who it might be. Let me wait till the brackets come out, and I think it'll be a country starting with U. I wonder which that is. An underdog who starts with U, who's not that good in soccer, but who's a favorite everywhere else, who's hosting the tournament. I mean, there's enough hints there. I think that's what's going to happen, but the field is not decided, and they haven't yet made the brackets. But I think that's
Uruguay.
It could be Uruguay. There's also Uzbekistan.
There you go.
And there's one other. And Mamdani's a citizen. It's not Uganda. Anyway. So yeah, that's the Subway logo. And
Mamdani, his name equals green and yellow in gematria. Just adding that in there.
In how many ciphers?
Let's see. Hold on. It's 2 ciphers, but it's reversed. So he equals green and yellow equals 70, 65 in reduction and reverse reduction. And then Zohan Mamdani equals 65 and 70 in those same. So it's like 2 cipher match, but it's reversed.
Now remember what I said about 70. It was on Queen Elizabeth II's 70th anniversary as queen, when they lit up the sky above Buckingham Palace with a dog, with her corgi. It's a huge dog in the sky. It is not subtle what they're referring to Sirius, because 70 is a number related to Sirius, because Sirius is invisible behind the sun for 70 days out of each year.
That's what I was going to say, because the 70 has been a number I've been following with another YouTube channel named Wes Skeptical on YouTube. He's been following how important the 70's been. Pope Francis died on 70 date numerology. Exactly 70 moons after Kobe, or something like that. And then John Cena equals 70. His retirement match is on 70 date numerology. He was in his movie this year, Heads of State, 70 days after his birthday. Pope Francis equals 70, Vatican equals 70. But get this, I was looking at the Mighty Ducks, remember the team we were just talking about from the movie, their star player in the Mighty Ducks movie was Charlie Conway. I just can't get away from this Charlie stuff, man. Like, and I typed in Charlie Conway, and it equals Zohan Mamdani in all ciphers.
Oh,
Like
wow.
every cipher across the board. Like I just typed them in randomly, looking at different things in the last like 10 minutes, and it just so happened. And the Mighty Ducks also equals. Oh wow! I didn't even. Can I just pull up my screen real fast, AJ?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can just show you guys because it's really interesting. I just typing in these things and they're all equaling the same stuff. Like what's going on here?
Oh.
So look, Charlie Jones even equals 70. I was just doing that. But yeah, look, Charlie Conway, which is the name of the star kid in the Mighty Ducks, equals 6570, like Zoran Mandami. And look at the name of the team, the Mighty Ducks. That's the name of the movie. With the is in there. And then look, green and yellow is just reversed. And then look at this. Mamdani equals Charlie Conway in all ciphers. I had just typed them in like back to back, just separately, not thinking that they were going to be connected, and then they just equal the same.
Isn't that the same? Hold on, type in Church of Satan.
Yeah, I think Church of Satan is like a direct match with that too, isn't it? It's pretty close. Yeah, it's 3 out of 4. Well, really, it's 4 out of 4. If you're just looking at inverse numbers, it's kind of 4 out of 4.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean and that 70 is in every single one of those.
Yeah, that's wild.
And like I said, we've been following that 70 because the Killing Moon, right, from the Donnie Darko. I did a whole video on this number and how see how the Killing Moon also has the 214 and 70. That's the song in Donnie Darko. And yeah, so that 70 is just huge. Like it's become one of my big numbers I look for because thanks to Wes for all his work, because he's been basically following that number extensively.
This is definitely kind of off topic, but with just the Charlie connection, I remember we were talking a bit about Johnny Depp, right, in our last show. And don't forget about him being Wonka in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, just...
That's what I mean. You can't get away from this Charles thing, man. It's everywhere. When you really like pay attention to it, like it seems like every character in every movie is Charlie or something. There's a Charlie's everywhere. Charlie Brown. Now Charlie Conway just happens to be the star hockey main character of the Mighty Ducks. I was just like, and yeah, someone told me to type in Gordon Bombay too, because remember the coach, the owner of the Colts right now is Charlie Ursay Gordon.
Huh.
Right? And then Gordon Bombay in the Mighty Ducks is the coach. And look at what his name equals Super Bowl and championship.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a 3 out of 4 cipher in championship. So something with the Mighty Ducks, random stuff that, I mean, not random, but definitely didn't expect the Mighty Ducks to favor in so quickly. But yeah, something there for sure.
Well, especially because of Charlie Sheen, right? And isn't it Charlie Sheen?
Well, that's his brother.
His brother.
You're right. Gordon Bombay's brother is Charlie Sheen. That's what it is. That's the connection right there. Because Emilio Estevez is the brother, right? Is that him? No, that's not him, is it? Oh yeah, it is. Emilio Estevez, born in New York City, by the way, is the brother of Charlie Sheen. And remember when Charlie Kirk was shot, Charlie Sheen was on the world stage with Joe Rogan and promoting his new Netflix series, Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's perfect. You got the kid in the movie being Charlie Conway, and then the brother of the coach, Gordon Bombay, is in real life is Charlie Sheen. So this Charlie everywhere, man, just everywhere. Can't get away from this.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna have to name my kid Charlie. I swear.
yeah, AJ, you mentioned that Johnny Depp. He ties into Alice in Wonderland. He's the Mad Hatter. The
Right.
NFL, that Mad Hatter is 106 on his hat. So that's the only number, like it's on Alice in Wonderland, the 106th NFL season. The NFL honored Mad Hatter Day. They actually the whole Mad Hatter thing. Well, in the movie Alice in Wonderland, it was Johnny Depp who played the Mad Hatter. He's the star. Alice should be the. You think Alice in Wonderland? Alice is the star.
Right.
Johnny Depp is such a huge star that you can't. Whoever he plays is going to be the star. So the Mad Hatter in the Hollywood version is the star of Alice in Wonderland. Of course, the actress who played Alice is Mia Wasikowska from Australia, the land down under, but her name is Mia. So, yeah. So, yeah, I'd like to get my screen or.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Johnny Depp also played in Pirates of the Caribbean. He was on, I think the ship was called the Black Pearl, which we were talking about Pearl Harbor. And Pearl.
Yeah.
So the British conquered, colonized Uganda. And the nickname they gave to Uganda was the Pearl of Africa. So Pearl is actually a big thing. That's where Zohan Mamdani is. So Pearl is, Uganda is the Pearl of Africa. Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean, his ship was the Black Pearl. When you talk about Pearl Harbor 9/11, Pearl is a theme here. It is a theme. And no, pearls come from oysters, which I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I'm coming up with this. Pearl comes with oysters, and oysters actually are a big part of Alice in Wonderland, the movie. There actually are oysters that play a role there. But yeah, so pearls now are emerging as a theme too. There's so many. They're in Alice in Wonderland. So yeah, Zohan Mamdani is the underdog, and he comes from the two countries he's citizens of. Start with you, but yeah, but he's the big underdog story of 2025 is Mamdani. He defeated. It's like David and Goliath again. Who's David? I mean, but he defeated New York royalty, and Andrew Cuomo. Of course, this is the Truman Show. It's a nice story, but it's the Truman Show. Anyway, but so another thing with Jordan Love's jersey number 10, that's another value of, Cody's talking about a great cipher. This was reverse reduction or reverse Pythagorean. Dog is 10. But of course, it doesn't work for him now because he's the favorite. In 2021, there's a biographical movie. It was called American Underdog.
I remember this.
Yeah, and it's about Kurt Warner. It's a biography.
Not to be confused with Kirk.
Yeah, not Kurt, but Kurt Warner. Just to give an idea, the movie, it says American Underdog, the 2021 American biographical sports film about National Football League quarterback Kurt Warner. Directed by Andrew and John Irwin, the film follows Warner's journey as an undrafted player who ascended to winning Super Bowl 34. It stars Zachary Levi as Warner, alongside Anna Paquin as his wife, Brenda, and Dennis Quaid as his head coach, Dick Vermeil. And this is how Kurt Warner's described for those who are, and I'm talking about the gene thing. That's another one too. Gene is a big thing with genetics. Very big theme going on right now.
Well, in Rambo, really quick, would you mind scrolling up one really quick? Who played Warner?
Zachary Levi. Oh, that's right, Levi Stadium. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, Levi jeans.
No, Levi's Elvis. Right, Elvis is an anagram of Levi's. There's a song called Elvis is Everywhere. Elvis is in your jeans. Have you ever seen that song, Rambo? Elvis is Everywhere, where it says Elvis is in your jeans. Elvis is everywhere. It's the whole song's about Elvis being in your jeans.
I haven't heard that song, no.
Yeah, Jurassic Liar is the Elvis guy. He's covered that so many times. But this Super Bowl is clearly going to be wholly connected to Elvis, as everything usually is. Surprisingly, Elvis is a big character. I found some crazy stuff with Elvis, and his anagram being Levi's is literally an anagram of Elvis. And the one Super Bowl where there was a performer was the Super Bowl that there was a halftime performer where it was an Elvis impersonator. It was called Bebop Bamboozled. It was in San Francisco. So the Elvis theme cannot be overlooked here either, which is also why I have some very interesting connections between Daniel Jones and Elvis. I've done some interesting. I always look at Elvis, and that has to be thanks to Jurassic Liar's YouTube, because his whole channel is about Elvis. So I mean, just putting that out there with Elvis.
Yeah, so the genes thing is a thing too. I talked about the controversy with Sydney Sweeney, and she did talk about Sydney Sweeney has great genes, and there's an implication they're saying of white supremacy. That was the controversy, but of course, this is the Truman Show, and all it did was sell American Eagle apparel. Their sales skyrocketed as a result. No news is bad news when it comes to name recognition, and it's a way of selling jeans. And so they set up Levi's as a rival to American Eagle. And there's actually and Levi's has Beyonce as their top female endorser. And they try to make it racial, so black people buy Levi's instead because American Eagle is racist. This is all cheesy material world matrix stuff. If you're falling for any of this, hopefully you're not. Then you're in the matrix. That's what you're trying. It's consciousness manipulation. 666. It's matter. It shouldn't be focus on the self. Complete the soul's journey, hopefully. But again, so Eugene's been big. Is it Gene or Eugene? There's the Eugene in WWE, the announcer. Gene Aukerland, Hulk Hogan's middle name. So yeah, Gene is big. I was talking about Gene, Gene. So Curtis Eugene Warner, that's another Gene.
Isn't there the actor named Eugene Levy? You're just talking about Levy. Isn't it Levy?
Maybe there is. I don't know. I'm not up on all the actors.
KODI, Eugene Levy. He was in American Pie. He was the dad in American Pie. I could be wrong.
Yeah, Eugene Levy or Levi. I'm not sure how you say it, but I think it's Levy. Eugene Levy. He was in American Pie, and he's the like governor of Pacific Palisades that caught on fire earlier this year. There's a huge connection with him earlier this year. That guy. Okay. And also, yeah, you mentioned
I'm not trying to get us too off track, but we were just talking about the name Eugene and Levy. But yeah.
There's also a Eugene from WWE that there was this character literally just named Eugene. That was his name, and he was like a retarded. Like, I don't want to say that word, but he was mentally not there. Like, that's the character he played. Mm-hmm. So you must not have had very good genes then, huh?
Yeah, that's interesting. So that actually could tie into the Nazi code, because one of the Nazis were into pure genes and having just the purest genes for the human race. And one of the groups that the Nazis wanted to eliminate and persecute were people like that who were disabled. This does tie into the Nazi theme, which is big. And I have a ton of Nazi stuff as well, especially with that game coming up in Berlin in the stadium that Hitler commissioned. Clear Nazi coding. Don't forget, Elon Musk did the Nazi salute, full-on Nazi salute at Trump's inauguration, so it's not a stretch. But yeah, so Kurt Warner, the American former professional quarterback who played in the National Football League for 12 seasons, primarily the St. Louis Rams and Arizona Cardinals. His career, we saw him ascend from an undrafted free agent, undrafted, so undrafted, so he wasn't even picked in the draft. Nobody wanted him. A two-time most valuable player and Super Bowl MVP, is widely regarded as one of the greatest Cinderella stories in NFL history. And what's a Cinderella? It's an underdog. So here's one of the biggest underdog symbols in NFL history, American underdog. And so Kurt Warner went completely undrafted and obviously didn't play in the NFL, but to get in the NFL, somebody eventually had to sign him. Who could that have been for the great Cinderella, one of the greatest of NFL all time, the underdog? What's the underdog color? Green Bay Packers. Following his college career, Warner went undrafted for 1994 NFL draft. He was invited to try out for the Green Bay Packers.
Of course.
Training camp in 1994 and released before the regular season began. Warner was competing for a spot against Brett Favre, Mark Brunell, and former Heisman Trophy winner Ty Detmer. While Warner was with the Packers, the head coach was Mike Holmgren and quarterback coach Steve Mariucci, and Andy Reid was his offensive assistant. So it's the Packers. So he's connected to the Packers, one of the greatest underdogs in NFL history. Nobody wanted him, and his break into the NFL first came with the Green Bay Packers. But I've mentioned all these underdogs. This is the ultimate underdog. There never will be an underdog as big as this. They'll always be the underdog, and they're guaranteed to never, ever be surpassed as the ultimate underdog. And who is that? Who's this I'm talking about? The Washington Generals basketball team. The legendary Harlem Globetrotters will show off basketball wizardry. So the Harlem Globetrotters are a kind of a circus act entertainment basketball team. They'll go around the world, and it's a very entertaining show. And this is just an example. I just showed this headline, the legendary Harlem Globetrotters. And these are the type of things they do. You're not going to see this in a real basketball game. Stuff like this, lifting people up. But they're entertaining to watch. But they have this opponent, which they always play. It's the Washington Generals. And of course, the Globetrotters always win. And it's even in the description here. It says the Washington Generals are the exclusive, these are my words, the exclusive and perennial opponents of the exhibition. Okay, so this is how it's described in Wikipedia. The Harlem Globetrotters are an American exhibition basketball team. They combine athleticism, theater, entertainment, and comedy in their style of play. Over the years, they started in 1926. They have played more than 26,000 exhibition games in 124 countries and territories, mostly against ineffective opponents, or deliberately ineffective opponents, such as the Washington Generals and others. They're deliberately ineffective, so they always win. And this is the thing. I don't know how this happens. I need to look more into this. The Generals actually won one game. I have no idea how that happened, but you know what their record is? Now, they don't have an exact figure on it. 1 win in 17,000 defeats. That's the record of the Washington Generals. It's 1 in 17,000.
No, we really got to look up that date, though. They actually won a game?
They won one game. I don't know what happened.
Win. Oh, my God. I
think it was in 1971. So this is the ultimate underdogs. They cannot be beaten as underdogs. They are the greatest underdogs of all time. They're 1 in 17,000 and counting. They've lost so many games, they've lost count. 17,000 is an estimate.
Yeah.
They have that one win. I'll give them that. You can't beat them as an underdog.
January 5th, 1971.
January 5th. That's interesting. I don't know what the story is behind that.
They were playing as the New Jersey Reds at the time.
Oh, okay.
So they were the New Jersey Reds before they became the Washington Generals. But yeah, it was on January 5th.
What year was that?
1971.
Oh, yeah, 71.
It was an overtime game in Martin, Tennessee. The final score was 100-99.
They won by 1 point.
Remember Martin? We just talked about Martin last week, where you took a photograph of at that bar where you had the incident, and Martin was showing it. It happened at the same time that Doug Martin died. Marty McFly. Marty McFly.
Wow.
Martin, Tennessee. I've been seeing Martin a lot. I talk about the Aston Martin, connected to Ozzy Osbourne 007, the car. But yeah, so
the loss ended a 2,495 game winning streak for the Globetrotters.
No, not the Globetrotters, the Generals.
Well, no, winning streak for the
winning streak
for the Globetrotters.
Okay, yeah.
As they were wearing they were the New Jersey Reds.
Yeah,
they have yet to upset wearing the green and yellow. They might be due for an upset.
if there's a time for that to happen, with all this going on right now, This could be the
right?
big upset. I mean, this would be a bigger upset than Mamdani beating Cuomo.
Yeah, you guys, the Washington Generals just beat the Harlem Globetrotters. Oh my God.
Yeah, so this is an estimate. They're 1 in 17,000. That's their record. But they were green and yellow, the ultimate underdogs. I mean, is there any doubt now that green and yellow is associated with underdogs? This is the clincher. This is the clincher, and it's been going on for a while. I even show it's a headline here from JokerMag.com: "Playing to lose: Why the Washington Generals are the greatest underdogs in sports history." And they're the green and yellow. This clinches green and yellow as the underdog.
Yeah.
Now, there was one earlier this year that I missed, 2025. A lot has happened in 25, and that was in. I'll talk about the Cleveland Browns, big underdogs, and the dog symbol. Browns open up as big underdogs against Packers week 3, and then Browns shock Packers. So the only 2 losses they've had are these shock wins to underdogs. And the thing about the Browns is the dog is their symbol. So the Packers, I mean, they are a contender, an elite team in the NFL. They just signed one of the best elite defensive players, the defensive player of the month, October, in Parsons. We know why that is. The Alan Parsons Project, who recorded the song Sirius, and Sirius is the dog star. You know what Parsons is all about. With all that talent, and Jordan Love, that's Michael Jordan. Jordan Love, to reference to Sirius. Jordan's a Sirius symbol. It doesn't look like they're going to go, not with this green and yellow thing going. Like, if they do get to the Super Bowl, they'll probably be upset by. No, I don't know. I don't think they'll get the Super Bowl. But so there is one underdog that I missed, and that was on June 10th, 2025. No football team, soccer team from Africa has ever defeated England. The English national soccer team has never, ever lost to an African team. I forgot about this one. I forgot to check their uniform because the team they lost to usually wears their home colors are all white. I forgot that their road strip is green and yellow. That is Senegal. Look at the headlines here. We made history. Senegal, first African side to beat England. And look at the colors they're wearing. This is this year. This is all in 2025. I completely forgot. I just remembered, that's another. I completely forgot about it. This is their road jersey. Usually we're all white. They were green and yellow. And this game was in England, in Nottingham, where they defeated England. It's a comfortable win too, 3-1. They actually, I saw the highlights. I didn't watch the game. It was a comfortable win. They and England national team. They're like, I think they're going to win the World Cup. And I think even if it wasn't fixed, they probably could win it because they're just stacked. They have talent all over. I mean, they had their players in Senegal just beat them for the first time wearing green and yellow. So like I'm saying, so these are not just regular upsets. These are all historic upsets that are happening. This is a historic upset. So this is the one green and yellow team that I think underdog in the World Cup that can actually go somewhere, like go beyond the first round. If they're going to be some crazy upset in the later rounds, Senegal can do it. South Africa, we're green and yellow. They're not good enough to get to the second round. They're just not. Australia is not good enough to get to the second round. They are not. They're simply not. Senegal's different. This could be the big upset story of the World Cup, but I think I think it's rigged for the United States to be the big underdog because, frankly, they suck. It's not a good team. The United States is not a good team, but it's not that bad. It's not like they're not Uzbekistan. I mean, there's some really bad teams in the World Cup because they've expanded the tournament. Because they're hosting it, I think they'll give the U.S. I think they're going to give the Brazil upset to the U.S., but it remains to be seen how the brackets are. I just want to see who Brazil plays potentially in the second round when the brackets come out. But here's your green and yellow, huge upset. This was on June 10th. And this is another Mad Hatter number because the Mad Hatter was 10-6. Now, the way Americans say it, that's October 6th. It's Mad Hatter Day, I think, in the United States. I don't know if it is in England, if they have Mad Hatter Day, because in England, 10-6 is 10th June. So that kind of brings in, ties in with the Super Bowl, Alice in Wonderland and Bad Bunny, because there's 10-6. It happened on Mad Hatter. What could be Mad Hatter Day, 10-6. I'll stop there. I said, so the other U is United States. You mentioned Uruguay, which is not. It's not a huge. Uruguay is not. It's an underdog, but not a big underdog. It's not. It's not that far out of realistic realm of possibilities that Uruguay could beat a big team. That's not an underdog. And Uzbekistan is there. They're not going to be the ones. That's a stretch. I think it's going to be the United States. So this is the record. England's previous 21 matches. In history, England had played 21 matches against African nations. They'd won 15 wins and 6 draws, 6 ties, but never a win. Until this green and yellow starts manifesting. So so that's, I give the background to this code. I'll release it as a decode, but my big prediction on this is the World Cup and Brazil being knocked out. And probably
just a matter of when.
Yeah, probably Australia, who is green and yellow, and South Africa. They'll probably win a game, but not advance. But Senegal is the upset team to watch for me. So that's my prediction for, because these things keep happening, and I don't predict that. I just look at it and oh my god, it happened again. I wasn't even looking like at the NFL thing.
Yeah,
but it's definitely, especially with the Washington Generals, that clinches it. That's an underdog. And so far, 2025, the upset underdog victory is Mamdani. And he's from 2 countries that start with U.
I'm seeing here the World Cup isn't until June of next year.
It starts June 11th, yes. But they haven't finished the qualifiers. Most qualifiers, most teams have qualified, but there's still a few more teams need to qualify to complete the field. Then they'll do the draw in the brackets.
What's up, Cody?
So guess what June 11th is?
Rambo's birthday.
Well, I know that. We know that, but guess who he shares a birthday with?
I share my birthday with a lot of people. I share a birthday with Vince Lombardi, Joe Montana, Peter Dinklage. Who's Peter Dinklage? I'm born on the same day as Peter Dinklage. He plays the dwarf in Game of Thrones. I was born on the very same day as he was. There's a couple of soccer players. I guess you wouldn't know them, but a German soccer player. Yeah, I guess the main one, most popular ones would be, Joshua Jackson. It would be Vince Lombardi and Joe Montana.
Yeah, but you know who Joshua Jackson is, right? He's the player Charlie Conway in the Mighty Ducks.
Oh, okay.
So think about that though. That might actually play into this then, because he's the guy in the underdog, the Ducks, who plays the Ducks, and they wear those colors.
He's also the co-lead with oh my god, what's his name? Paul Walker in the movie The Skulls. The one about Skull and Bones.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Have you heard of that movie, The Skulls?
Yeah, I've heard that, but I didn't know he was in it. Yeah,
him and Paul Walker are like the leads of that
So
movie.
how old is Joshua Jackson? How old will he turn on June 11th?
Would that be... He's born the same year as CM Punk, who just won. Kind of, let's see, hold on.
He'll be 48.
So yeah, he'll turn 48.
Okay, that's that Temple of Solomon 48 number. It's 4th, 4/8 is the 4th of August. It could be 4th of August. That's in the Gregorian. That's the date for the destruction of the second temple, the Gregorian.
Maybe that's how it ties into Mamdani then too. Man, he has numbers I've been looking at too. Goodness. It's got the 121. That was actually a number that tied in with Cheney. And the Blue Jays, just, the whole revelation stuff with the Blue Jays and the 121. But I have this. There is one thing I have to show that I found that blew my mind. Remember how I showed that Mamdani right now he got selected as the mayor of New York, and he's 76 weeks old. Well, I didn't even look at this, and I probably should have, but look. So yeah.
Wow.
I mean, what in the world? I mean, come on now, people.
And the World Trade Center is 1,776 feet tall, not including the
And like I said,
Spike.
this feeds into what's coming in December with John Cena. John Cena turns. So I'll just show it one last time because I love to show this. But 1977, John Cena born, and on December 7th, when the United States is 9/11/01 days, this is how old Cena will be. So
You know, it's just now it's really making me starting to think more about the Washington Generals. Like, and looking at this whole like Globetrotters schedule and just seeing like who knows, because you know, I just did a measurement. So from the date of when they won their only game, it's now a span of 20,028 days and counting.
Oh, really?
Or a span of exactly 658 months. So, you know what? We're kind of getting close to that 666 months. That would be interesting. That probably wouldn't be until next year, would be my guess. But Washington Generals, right? Like, I don't know. It just seems very fitting with all of the Trump connections with Cena that you've been talking about.
Well, I mean, John Cena
and 9/11 and, you know, all that stuff.
John Cena, green and yellow. I know he's worn this before. Yeah, I knew it. He's worn all kinds of different color variations on his stuff, but I knew he did have at one time he had this. But I'm wondering when this was now, because throughout his whole career he changed it periodically. He would change his normal attire, which was always a hat and a shirt, right, with his jorts, his colorful T-shirt, and his baseball cap. But it would always be a different color, and I don't know when this was. I'll have to figure out like what time. Could have been at any point in his career at this point. Is this 2008? 2021? Yeah, I'll have to do more research into that. But yeah, I mean, with him turning 1776 days old on Pearl Harbor Day, when the United States is 9/11/01, and then a week later, on Taylor Swift's birthday, he'll be 17 on his retirement match. He'll be 1776. So, like, you can tell that this was chosen specifically because of that. Like, should be no doubt. Like, so I'm just wondering what that means, where he's 1776, 0 days old on Pearl Harbor Day, when 9/11/01 days for the United States, but then 6 days later, he's 1776 6 days. So, like, I'm wondering what that extra 6 in there, like, how that might play into the whole thing. But I mean, this is just one of the most wild things I've ever found. Like, just the fact that how that lines up.
So there is that Pearl connection. So Mamdani has the 1776. John Cena has the 1776. So John Cena, he turns 1776 0 days old on Pearl Harbor Day. And like I said, Uganda was given the moniker the Pearl of Africa. And that's where Mamdani was born. The Pearl connection.
That's right. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
You can have you look that up if you want. Pearl of Africa, Uganda. Just trying to confirm that. Maybe some clues in that. Did you look at the gematria of Pearl of Africa, or the Pearl of Africa?
Hawaii's colors are green and
Africa.
yellow, aren't they?
Oh.
You can see, there's an article, why Uganda is called the Pearl of Africa. You see the first, like, yeah, the first one right there. It says why Uganda is called.
Well, it does look nice.
So just to confirm, that is the moniker for Uganda. And that is where Mamdani was born. I think it's the British that gave him that title. It's the British who gave him that title.
Yeah,
Winston Churchill.
Oh, Winston Churchill did it.
And Cody, since you have the screen, if you wouldn't mind just pulling up University of Hawaii Rainbow Warriors logo. And you'll see now most of the yellow, I think, is gone. But if you look at like the older variations of Hawaii's logo, it's got that green and yellow as well. obviously Hawaii because of Pearl Harbor. But yeah, if you just click on images, like that second row in the middle there with the rainbow warrior.
Here.
Yeah, that one. If you notice, it's just green and yellow behind him.
Yeah.
You know, so just another team to think about, Hawaii, just in their respective conference. You know, could be doing something over there, especially with what happened with the fires and whatnot not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely RAMBO. Thanks to RAMBO, we've definitely figured out this color update thing. So, I mean, now it's just about figuring out how these are going to play out.
Yeah, my thing is the World Cup. It remains to be seen. But man, the underdog is a big theme this year. And Mamdani is the big one. But it's the U also. It's the green and yellow and the U. Sometimes they are both. Sometimes it's just one of them. But the U is big.
Rambo, would you be more surprised if Brazil got upset or if the Washington Generals upset the Harlem Globetrotters?
No, if the Generals win, then I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. The Washington, I mean,
I would lose it too.
The thing is, what if they won before? So if they won before the World Cup, to me that would clinch it. Like, okay, nah, I'm definitely. I mean, this thing keeps being reaffirmed every week. I didn't even look at. Honestly, I didn't even look at the NFL schedule, so I don't do a sports channel. So I don't always even look at who's playing, since I don't really do predictions. Then I saw after wait a minute, the Panthers, the huge underdogs, won against. So did it again for the second time this year against the huge underdog, green and yellow. I was like, this thing every week. This thing is hitting this code. But it's the Washington Generals who really clinch the associate. Even Sopdet, I didn't realize Sopdet was green and yellow until I started looking for pictures to put in my decode I'm putting together. Then I realized, oh wait a minute, she's green and yellow, and she's serious. And the underdog. I don't know if they're gonna win. They lost count on how many games they've. That's how bad. What team has been so bad that you actually lose track of the exact number of losses?
It was like, well, when they did win back in '71, it was like 2,500 something games or something that they had lost.
Yeah. Well, now they're saying 17,000, and that's this
that
they've lost. Man, if they ever win again, there must be some secrets to the universe in that one. Some secret to immortality or something. We're going to solve the whole Matrix based on it.
Yeah, no kidding.
The Matrix will get hacked. If they win, the Matrix got hacked. Okay. Imagine if they blew out the
right. Yeah, exactly. It's not even a 1-point win. Like they just completely destroy him.
You know who their GM is? Kenny Smith is their GM. The Washington Generals. You know he does the basketball analysis. Former NBA player.
Yeah.
Kenny Smith. He does. He's on with he's on with like Shaq and Charles Barkley and Ernie Johnson. Kenny Smith. He's their general manager. So
that would be hilarious. I'm getting a little loopy over here. I know it's getting late, you guys, so we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cody, I saw that you pointed out there that Alice in Wonderland also equals 1776.
Yes, in the same cipher as Mandami, and Star Spangled Banner has that 1776 in that same cipher.
So there are pearls, not necessarily pearls. Pearls are in oysters. That's where pearls form inside oysters. So there's implied pearls in Alice in Wonderland. With oysters actually play a significant role in Alice in Wonderland. So there's kind of pearl symbolism in there as well.
I mean, it would be really tripping me out too if this measurement was just 1 year different because, well, actually, it's interesting. Look at this. So Kobe died on January 26, 2020. So on his 1 year death anniversary, this upcoming Pearl Harbor Day would be 1776 days after his first year death anniversary. Which was in lunation 1213. You see the 1213 lunation there? That's John Cena's retirement match date, 12/13, which is one day before George Washington's death date. That's why it's like, wow, this time is looking super interesting to see what they're going to do to go with this John Cena retirement tour. The last time is now. And I think tomorrow I might do a short, I'm going to look into see, but somebody gave me a big clue that in Spanish, Cena means supper. So essentially what John Cena is wearing on his shirt right now could be translated to like the last time is now, right? So the last Cena, the last supper. Like that's literally, I think, what I've missed this the whole time. I mean, obviously it's about Revelation too, like the last book of the Bible, but like the Last Supper, a cena is a supper in Spanish. So I'm really going to be looking into that the next day or so. But yeah, that's for next time. But the Cena thing is going to be big the next weeks. Everything's going to be connected to that.
Yeah, I can't wait to get more of your take on that for sure. Rambo, did you want to share your screen too before we wrapped up?
Yeah. So there's this and this goes along the lines of all these themes going on. So this whole Hunger Games and food and stuff going on. And you talk about Cena. I actually did a short decode. I actually did it as an answer to one of my patrons. They're asking about John Cena, and I talked about his last name, and this actually tied into it tied into the Olympics. At the Olympics, they had the opening ceremony on the Seine, the River Seine, and so Seine, just like KODI said, has to do with supper. So Seine has multiple meanings in French depending on how you spell it. So it's the River Seine. So Seine also means scene in French, but Seine means supper. And so one of the headlines at the Olympic opening ceremony, everybody was on boats. All the opening ceremony, all the countries came in on boats. The headline in French was La scène de la Seine sur la Seine, means the scene of the supper on the scene. It's a French kind of triple entendre.
Huh.
And the whole symbol, and remember what they were talking about was the Last Supper. So remember how they did a thing of the Last Supper where they had an obese woman portray Jesus Christ in the Last Supper? That's the Seine, that's the dinner, the Last Supper, Seine. Like KODI just said, that means dinner, supper. And that's what they portrayed at the Olympics, the Last Supper, with an obese woman portraying Jesus Christ, which was a big controversy and offended a lot of people. So it was a scene of the Seine, the Last Supper, on the Seine River. That's what was meant by La Seine de la Seine, sur la Seine. And so there's that supper theme and the Last Supper and hunger. And this, so what's happening now? There's a government shutdown, and people who are on assistance, the SNAP, and a lot of these poor people, elderly people, children are dependent on it. Now SNAP benefits aren't going out. And a lot of people in need, they're saying it's almost 30% of the American population uses SNAP. And with the government shutdown, it's a food assistance program. There's some family, a lot of people desperately in need will not have food. I mean, and this is where, Trump is starting to look more and more like an antichrist. Like, that's not even funny anymore. Like, there are people now going to starve, but this is a lot. We've been headed towards this. The Last Supper can have different meanings, like your final supper, like no supper after this. As far as, and this theme has been going on for a while. And this ties into the Hunger Games, Last Supper, no food. And so, yeah, Trump just bailed out Argentina. He just gave him $40 billion. He will not fund SNAP. So what he's agreed to do now is just to partially fund SNAP, just partially. When the Americans, like, there's no America first. They don't care about 30 million people on SNAP. I'll give $40 billion to Argentina, which is, again, it's a far right wing fascist. I'm sure they got Nazi connections. Where did the Nazis go after World War II? That in many countries. Argentina is a major haven for Nazis. This Nazi thing is big. They're honoring Nazis in the NFL. It's not subtle. They're probably not subtle. Look at Elon Musk at the inauguration doing a full-on Nazi salute. So this is not hyperbole or conspiracy theory. So along the lines of this starving thing, I mean, now they're all set to starve Americans with SNAP. This has been going on for a while. So there's this.
There's also there's also in Slovenian, which is Trump's wife is Slovenian. Cena means the price. So think about that. Cena means supper and the price. So the price of supper is going up, or people don't have the price to pay for supper. So a lot of it seems to be connected to that for sure.
Yeah. So along the lines, I mean, we're talking about Pearl. This is another Pearl, which also goes along the lines of the hunger thing. Manchester legend mourns Pele of Palestine. So this is Eric Cantona. He's French. We're talking about French. So a Palestinian former soccer player. So in Gaza, they're being starved. So Israel is starving. This is, crimes against humanity on epic levels. It wasn't enough to bomb or genocide. Now they're starving them. And so they're not letting aid in. So what's happening is now there are these long lines to get aid in Gaza. So there's this, and this is what I talk about, the Solomon. Why are we seeing the name Solomon? His name is Suleiman Al-Obeid. There's again Solomon again. He's a former player and captain of the Palestinian national team. So he was waiting in line for food aid. Of course, the Israeli military is controlling it. And which they've been doing. While people are waiting in line for food, they'll shoot at them, and he got killed. He got killed while waiting in line in Gaza for food. His name is Suleiman. There's another Solomon again. And so Al-Obeid has been nicknamed the Black Pearl. There's another. In fact, Black Pearl is the name of Johnny Depp's ship. His character, what's the name? Jack Sparrow. The Black Pearl. That's the ship of Jack Sparrow, played by Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean. Now he's talking about Pearl Harbor, and there's the pearls in Alice in Wonderland in the. And what are the other pearls again? There are a couple other pearls. There's the the Pearl of Africa, Uganda, which is Mamdani's. Look at this one, Henry of. I didn't even know that. We're talking about King Henry, and number 22, King Henry, who defeated King Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Field for the final victory to end the War of the Roses. Derrick Henry of the Baltimore. He's also called Henry of. I didn't even know this. He has another name, Henry. He's another king. The Pele of Palestinian football. His name was Henry. I didn't know this. I'm seeing this for the first time. So there's another King Henry. And of course, this is a Manchester legend. He's also French international, Eric Cantona. Manchester, we're talking about the Manchester United logo with the trident, which is associated with 9/11. How Ahmad just scored for Manchester United over the weekend. Talking about Ahmad, born on 7/11, September 11. How's like I lost my train of thought. So yeah, no, I lost my train of thought. So forget it. But anyway, so this is so this is another Pearl, another Suleiman, which is Solomon. You have another connection to Solomon, another connection to Pearl, Mamdani from the Pearl of Africa, the Black Pearl, Johnny Depp, and the hunger thing, and Henry, the king thing, and the hunger theme. So the hunger theme is going on in the United States, of all places, the richest country in world history, the big empire, is ready to starve 30% of its population because they will not release SNAP. But they'll give Argentina a $40 billion bailout. But I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, yeah, Manchester, yeah. So Manchester is in Lancashire. And it was the House of Lancaster that defeated the House of York. So Manchester is the Red Rose, Lancashire, the House of Lancaster, who was led by Henry VII. I'll just leave it there. So all these things just add up, all these little elements. It's truly a web.
Charlotte's Web, right, Cody? At least right now.
Yeah. That's, again, you can't get away from the Charlie's Web.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, thank you guys again so much for the time today. We're seeing the time spent on these lives definitely getting longer as we
Yeah, I'm
continue to do
realizing
this,
it
which
now
is,
because
you
I'm
know,
feeling super tired all of a sudden. I realize just look at the clock. It's almost 2 a.m. here. Wow.
yeah.
Jeez.
Well, time flies, pun intended. Yeah, no, it was a blast with you guys as always. Thank you to everybody as well in the chat. Really appreciate you all. Please make sure to hit that like and subscribe on the way out. But before we close out, Rambo, if you wouldn't mind just saying your goodbyes and just let the folks know where they can find you and what you're working on.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you. I'll be working on completing that decode, and thanks for the help. The additions that you gave me just bolster the connections that I've made between the green and yellow and the underdog theme. And thanks for those additions. I'm going to complete that. I'm going in depth on that now, and I'm going to release as a decode. So far, I haven't released as a decode. I've talked about it on the show, but now I'm going to release it in detail. I guess it'll be a pretty sizable decode. I go in depth, as you saw, into the dog symbol and Sirius and all of that. So I'll complete that. I have more, especially with this game coming up in Berlin on the 11th. So I want to have something out before the 9th day of the 11th month and go again in depth on what is the significance of the 9th day of the 11th month and why was it significant to the Nazis. It didn't start with the Nazis. They're the new Rome. It's significant to Rome. It started in Babylon. Can't get away. Again, we just talked about this player. His name is Suleiman. We can't get away from Solomon. At the middle of the web is Solomon's temple. I'll always be talking about Solomon's temple. On so many levels, it has layers and layers of depth. It's tied into many things. So I'll do more of that coding with the Nazi coding and the underdog theme. I guess that's what I'm working on now. And I have a couple other things. And my work can be found on patreon.com/thetruthcodes and on Instagram.com/thetruthcodes. And thanks again, KODI, for sharing your knowledge. It is an honor to work with you. And AJ, honored to work with you, and thank you, AJ, for putting this all together. This wouldn't be happening, this collaboration, without you organizing it.
I appreciate that, Rambo. Yeah, no, the pleasure's all mine. Absolutely. Yeah, KODI, close us out, my friend.
Yeah, and I feel the same with you too. Very happy to be here with you guys every week, and streams are getting long, but there's always something to talk about, and it seems like never boring around here anymore. So, and I also want to thank everyone who stays here for almost 4 hours listening to us, because in my stream there was almost 150 people in here the whole time. So thank you guys all in the chat. Hope Coffee Girl's good. I haven't seen her in a while, so if anyone knows, I don't remember the last time I haven't seen Coffee Girl in 2 straight streams for me. So I hope she's okay.
Yeah, now that you mention it, hadn't seen her tonight or
was
earlier.
She in your other stream?
No,
she wasn't in your other stream.
No.
Yeah, so everyone be thinking of Coffee Girl. She's always here, so I don't know. She's usually the first one.
Okay, so real quick, remember, KODI, I jumped on your live stream this weekend. I jumped.
Yeah.
The Coffee Girl was there. She was there because she said hi to me. She greeted me in the chat. So.
Yeah, but she's in every stream though. So for me to she's usually the first person to comment in every stream. I don't remember the last time there's been even one stream where she hasn't been there, and now it's been 2. Like yesterday she wasn't there, and today not. So I'm just saying, hopefully she's there. I know she's probably not there now because she's probably sleeping, but she wasn't here earlier either. So that's why I was wondering. Anyway, thanks to all the people that were here. Thanks to Joseph Aquaviva. Thanks to all the people who helped with the decode. And I'll be just working on tomorrow. Like Rambo, I'm going to be working on this Indiana Jones decode connecting with this game coming up in Germany on November 9th. And then I'll be also working on more decodes with September 7th. It just looks like such a big day. I'm not saying something huge is going to happen, but we'll probably have something happen around that time. So, but yeah, that's what I'm going to do. If you guys want to find me, buy me a coffee, decodingwithkodi.com/decodingwithkodi. So,
yeah, we appreciate you, Codes. I also saw that December 7th is also 156 days after Independence Day, which I'm sure you knew that too, but just throwing that in there. But
there's a lot. There's a lot with that day, man. There's a lot of I mean, I'm telling you, there's a lot connected. John Cena being 1776 right there. It just took it to the next level, though. Like that's what took it to the next level. So
Yep. No, I hear you. Well, thanks again, you both. Really appreciate it. Time really does fly every Tuesday night. So thank you to all who hung out with us. Thank you all who hit that like and subscribe and commented in the chat section. You guys are great. And yeah, you guys have a great rest of your night or morning, wherever you guys are at. And we'll see you on the next one. Make sure to take care of yourselves. Peace.
see you, everyone.
Yeah, bruv, the game ain't hard when you got the trump card. It's all rigged and I'm calling more games than Bob Uecker. Changing the outcomes like Duke Nukem to a new future. Win some, lose some, bag some, choose none. Will the aliens come save the day? Are we going to listen to what they say? The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean and Sylvanians. Bloodlines, overtime, dragon descendants. Scripting bread and circus lizards in attendance. Serpent queens, breaking dreams, dragging me down. The underworld royalty is all about how much you can clown. I'm talking about the number 9-2. If you didn't know, well now you do. Numerous fears, what's in the hearse? I am who I am, man with a plan. Where you at with the rebellion? 1 in a million, us against a billionaire reptilians. Look at the word rebellion, spells out the same as the rebel lion. Ain't even trying, ain't living, you're dying. Well done to the skeleton, no time for rebellion. Strawmen led by spellmen, dialectic Hegelian.